She only came to deliver side dishes, but ended up trapped in the arms of the man who once tormented her. Kwon Hyeon-jin, tall, arrogant, fresh from England, his penthouse dripping with wealth. Yet all he sees now is her. His hand slams against the table, caging her in, his voice trembling with desire. "How could I ever think of you as just a friend? You're too damn beautiful." Na-hwi's heart races, her body frozen, caught between fear and temptation. From childhood enemies to something dangerously irresistible. This is young love, and it's about to drive them both insane. Some breakups are like an unstoppable tide. No words can hold them back. In a last-ditch effort, Hyeon-jin's hands tighten over hers, his voice low and desperate. He insists he's forgotten the past, begging her to just see him sometimes, as partners. But Na-hwi lies still, her gaze distant, her mind sharp. She's no fool. She knows the hollow meaning behind his words, a relationship of convenience, not of the heart. A wave of resolve washes over her, hardening her gentle expression. She pushes back against the raw closeness of the moment, her voice slashing through the tension as she tells Hyeon-jin they need to stop. The final words escape her lips, heavy and absolute. "We're over." Hyeon-jin's face falls into shadow, the very picture of defeat, as her mind confirms the finality of her decision. She is done with this. Na-hwi stands dwarfed by the impossibly tall skyscraper, its glass facade gleaming under the bright sun. She remembers seeing it on the news, a testament to the power of the Kwon group. But a heavy sigh escapes her as she shakes her head, frustrated. Why did it have to be her? The memory of her boss handing her the package is still fresh. The instruction was simple: take the food to their eldest young master, who had just returned to Korea. But the name itself makes Na-hwi's stomach churn. Her expression darkens with a painful certainty, her own quiet admission echoing in her thoughts. Hyeon-jin doesn't really like her. Back at the restaurant, Na-hwi's bleak thoughts are shattered by her boss's sudden encouragement. The older woman wraps a comforting arm around her, questioning how Na-hwi could ever think Hyeon-jin doesn't like her. She hands the delivery box to Na-hwi, explaining that the madam is home early. As the boss asks if she's uncomfortable with Hyeon-jin, a stern voice cuts through the air. An impeccably dressed woman in a pink visor has arrived. Cha Mi-young, Hyeon-jin's aunt. Her presence commands immediate silence as she coldly reminds them of their place, warning them to watch their mouths and use proper titles. The chairman, she declares, despises such familiarity. Gossip fills the air as one woman complains about being nagged for ignoring the eldest grandson, but another insists the young master is kind and gentle. The words trigger a wave of revulsion in Na-hwi. Kind? Gentle? The memory hits her like a physical blow. A ball smacks her square in the head, the sting of tears blurring her vision as a young Kwon Hyeon-jin looms over her. Snapping back to the present, she tightens her grip on the delivery container with grim acceptance. From a young age, she understood the vast chasm between them. He was the grandson of the chairman of Kwon Group, a titan of industry, and she was just the girl from the annex on his family's massive estate. The memories sting with the old shame. She was the housekeeper's daughter, tucked away in the maid's room, a life defined by the whispers of others who saw her as a parasite. She'd never forget the day she learned he'd casually gifted a watch worth 70 million won. That single, effortless act of generosity showed her the true, staggering distance between their worlds. Now, standing outside his apartment, that distance feels just as vast. She'd been so careful to avoid him since his return, but here she is. With a heavy sigh, she presses the doorbell. Silence. Then, an idea sparks. He spends all day at the gym. A grin spreads across her face as she holds up the keycard. The lock chirps and clicks open. This is her chance. Stepping into the sterile silence of the apartment, Na-hwi's gaze immediately snags on a shocking detail. A suitcase near the door, its hard shell shattered. She instantly wonders if Hyeon-jin, in a fit of rage, had actually punched it. What a temper. Shaking her head, she walks deeper into the residence. The refrigerator door swings open, and Na-hwi lets out a quiet sigh of disbelief. Who keeps cereal in the fridge? And why is there an empty milk carton just sitting there? He hadn't even opened the last delivery from Mrs. Jang. She tries to convince herself it's not her problem. She just needs to put the food away and leave. But as she finds a spot, Her eyes widen at the sight of a massive jug. Soy milk? Confusion gives way to a spike of irritation. She scoffs internally, convinced he must be messing with her. As if a guy who can't even make instant ramen would ever prepare something like cold soy milk noodles. What was he playing at? Na-hwi is completely absorbed, peering into the barren shelves of the refrigerator, when a deep voice suddenly slices through the quiet of the apartment. Her heart leaps into her throat, and she flinches violently, every muscle tensing as she whips around to face the unexpected presence. It's Kwon Hyeon-jin. He looms over her, his shadow casting a chill across the room and his expression impossibly cold. His voice is dangerously low as he demands to know what she's doing. The atmosphere crackles with a sudden, sharp tension. Hyeon-jin's voice slices through the tense air, his tone laced with pure accusation. He demands to know why the heck she felt she could just barge into his home without asking. He grills her, his voice sharp, asking if her ears are clogged. Head down, she quietly insists she heard him, but he presses on, demanding an answer. Finally, she looks up, retorting that she rang the bell multiple times. He was the one who didn't hear it. Suddenly, his anger vanishes. His hardened expression softens as he simply says it's been a while. Completely thrown by the emotional whiplash, Na-hwi can only stammer his name, Kwon. Na-hwi cautiously addresses him with the formal title the madam insisted on, young master. Hyeon-jin's face instantly sours, and he snaps back, wanting to know what she wants. She explains her instructions, but he scoffs in disgust, telling her to inform the madam to slash the gross formalities. He then glances at the bundle in her hands, asking if she's just there to drop off-side dishes and muttering under his breath about getting stuff he doesn't even eat. Deciding to make a quick exit, Na-hwi resolves to just leave the food in the fridge. As she unties the cloth, a pang of disappointment hits her. It's a shame to waste her mom's cooking. But just as she turns to go, Hyeon-jin stops her. The entire atmosphere shifts. He's suddenly right behind her, his voice a low, intense command. Open it. Stunned by his closeness, Na-hwi freezes as he repeats himself, his tone now firm and unyielding. With trembling hands, Na-hwi finally lifts the lid. A faint, flowery scent hits her nose. Is that fabric softener? But her mind short-circuits as she realizes just how close he's standing. Hyeon-jin, however, isn't focused on her. He glares down at the thick, gray liquid, convinced his aunt has truly lost her mind and sent him actual cement. What is this? He explodes, his voice laced with pure accusation. Stunned, Na-hwi can only fire back. It's soybean milk with black sesame. His confusion only deepens. As she tries to explain it's for making noodles, he leans in, grabbing her arm. Are you scheming with that woman? He snarls, his paranoia spiraling. Pinned and terrified, Na-hwi finally snaps. My mom made it, so I know it's delicious, she screams, her voice cracking. I'll make it for you. The sudden, fierce declaration stuns him into absolute silence. Steam billows from the pot as Na-hwi nervously stirs the noodles, her mind racing. She can't believe what she's doing, convinced she must be eccentric. Her promise to cook for him had just slipped out under the pressure of his intense questioning. Suddenly, Hyeon-jin's voice cuts through the air, startlingly close. He's right behind her, on the phone, coolly ordering a high-end water purifier. Na-hwi flashes back to a moment ago when she mentioned needing cold tap water for the dish, a suggestion that made him physically recoil. His condescending tone grates on her as he confirms the delivery for the next day, smugly adding that it's not like she has anything better to do. That's the last straw. Na-hwi spins around, pointing out that he was the one grossed out by perfectly drinkable water. She then gestures to the induction stove, which he hadn't even realized was unplugged. After fixing it with a deadpan click, he surveys the bare apartment and scoffs, declaring that even her brother's place is in better shape. The tension snaps as he suddenly changes tactics, holding out his hand and demanding her phone. He reveals his true motive with raw frustration. He asked her brother for her number, but never got a reply. The confession hangs in the air, stunning Na-hwi into silence. He leans in, his voice a low murmur as he promises they'll talk later. But when she ignores him to tend to the food, his patience shatters. He stares down at the top of her head, a strange realization dawning on him. With a mix of awe and disbelief, he blurts out that she's unbelievably tiny. questioning how she hasn't grown at all in 10 years. Na-hwi whips around, her cheeks flushed with annoyance, firing back that she has grown. He's just the one who's abnormally tall. Leaning back against the wall, Kwon Hyeon-jin lets out a low, impressed whistle. A smirk plays on his lips as he looks down at Na-hwi, remarking that he'd have to get on his knees just to see her face properly. Flustered and annoyed, Na-hwi ignores his teasing and focuses on preparing the noodles, desperate to finish the job and escape. But Hyeon-jin isn't done. His tone shifts, becoming more serious as he suddenly asks if she has a boyfriend. Her silence is deafening. His expression darkens with irritation, and he mutters that she probably does. After taking a defiant bite of the noodles, he abruptly yells that he's talking to her. Unfazed, Na-hwi simply offers him some kimchi, explaining that the ingredients are fresh from his family's farm. His anger dissolves as he accepts the food, falling completely silent as he eats. She watches him, realizing with a jolt that he's surprisingly quiet when he's eating. With the meal finished, a fragile silence settles between them. Na-hwi rises to her feet, deciding her job is officially done. He reminds her she still hasn't answered his question from before. Confused, Na-hwi can only wonder what he means. He presses on, his gaze unwavering as he asks if she really has a boyfriend. Na-hwi finally admits she doesn't have one. A strange look crosses his face. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he unclasps his expensive watch and holds it out to her, declaring he's giving it back. Stunned into silence, Na-hwi stares at the timepiece, her mind reeling as she asks why. His voice is deceptively calm as he questions her motives for returning the watch. He reminds her that she had already given it to Chan-hwi as a gift for entering high school. The memory jolts Na-hwi, but Hyeon-jin's grip on the timepiece visibly tightens, his knuckles turning white. She tries to explain, stammering that it was far too expensive for a first-year student. That's all it takes to shatter his composure. A cold, humorless smirk twists his lips as he scoffs, sarcastically asking if there's some new law against high schoolers wearing nice watches. Panicked, Na-hwi says they aren't like him, but her words are like fuel to a fire. He closes the distance in an instant, looming over her. His voice drops to a menacing growl, spitting that the gift was already given. If her brother is so disgusted, he can return it himself. His eyes burn with fury as he demands to know who she is to butt in. Her voice trembled as she tried to make him understand. The watch was simply too much for her brother. Unmoved, Hyeon-jin scoffed at the idea. How could something he himself had worn be considered too much? Frustrated and hitting a wall, Na-hwi insisted she was giving it back anyway and let the timepiece drop. It clattered against the hard floor, the crystal face shattering on impact. She stared, horrified. Hyeon-jin's expression turned venomous. He sneered, asking why she was staring and coldly stating he never takes back used things. With a final, chilling command, he ordered her to get lost. Later, a young chauffeur, Choi Kyung-won, was approached by a curious female colleague. They discussed Hyeon-jin's return from England and his lonely, isolated routine. Noticing her keen interest, Choi smirked, playfully asking if she had a crush on the young master. Flustered, she immediately denied it, her cheeks flushing. As her thoughts returned to the present, Choi, the driver, leans in with genuine concern, whispering to ask if Hyeon-jin is hurting her. Na-hwi instantly dismisses the idea, explaining that it's not physical, it's just in suffocating discomfort. She insists that Hyeon-jin doesn't like her either, a justification that Choi clearly doesn't buy. He tries to comfort her, advising her not to let it weigh on her. In his eyes, Hyeon-jin is just a lonely rich kid picking fights out of sheer boredom. But then, his tone shifts, becoming serious as he drops an absolute bombshell. The inheritance taxes on Hyeon-jin's shares alone are over 30 billion won, and his return to Korea is a calculated move to handle the massive financial issue. Unaware of the bombshell revelation about his finances, a sharply dressed man grins with ambition, declaring his plan to strike now and win Hyeon-jin over. Meanwhile, Na-hwi arrives at Hyeon-jin's apartment, finding it empty. As she walks inside, a pang of disappointment hits her. He must have really thrown away her handkerchief, a treasured gift from a dear friend. Opening his fridge, she tries to rationalize his recent behavior. She remembers his lonely past, losing his parents as a child, and how close he was to her brother. A softer understanding dawns on her. Of course, after all this time, He was just genuinely glad to see his old friend again. She places a hand against the wall, her attention caught by the newly installed water purifier. Looking around, she notices the living room is far cleaner than before, and the air carries the heavy scent of fabric softener. He's doing his own laundry. A strange sense of awareness dawns on her, but she immediately shakes it off. This isn't the time to be thinking about him. She spins around, deciding to leave quickly before he gets back. A flicker of a memory surfaces, a younger her, working under a grim, overcast sky. She'd hoped they wouldn't run into each other again. Suddenly, a polite voice cuts through the air, saying, "Excuse me." Na-hwi and the other women look up, startled by the unexpected interruption. A man in a sharp chauffeur's uniform, Kwon Hyeon-jin's personal driver, politely asks for a light meal, and the kitchen staff immediately perks up. The young master is here. But their cheerful service quickly melts into a storm of hushed gossip. Listening in, Na-hwi's eyes widen as the scandalous details spill out. The family's madam is apparently on a hunger strike, a dramatic tantrum thrown right after a visit from their lawyer. It's a power play, just like a few years ago when she knelt under a pine tree all day after the chairman refused to give her kids company shares. Every word reveals another layer of the family's toxic war over the will. Overwhelmed, Na-hwi quickly excuses herself, turning on her heel to escape the suffocating drama before she's pulled any deeper into their world. Hoping to avoid another disastrous encounter, Na-hwi peeks out from the doorway, praying for a quick, unnoticed trip. But her plans instantly crumble as a cheerful voice stops her cold. "Where are you rushing off to?" It's assistant manager Choi, a friendly smile on his face as he explains he's on an ice cream run for the chairman. He playfully offers her one from the bag, warning her that a few flavors are off-limits. Her eyes light up as she spots a favorite, and Choi suggests they have one before going back inside. Just as the light-hearted moment begins, a sharp, icy voice cuts through the air. "Hey!" The atmosphere instantly freezes. Na-hwi's head snaps up to see Kwon Hyeon-jin looming over them, his expression thunderous. His gaze bores into them as he demands to know what the two of them think they're doing. Na-hwi's coworker just laughs it off, waving a hand dismissively as he tells Hyeon-jin not to be ridiculous. Na-hwi's standards are way too high for him. But the joke only fuels the fire. Hyeon-jin takes a single, menacing step forward, his shadow falling over them. The coworker, still trying to de-escalate, offers him an ice cream bar. That's the final straw. With a furious snarl, Hyeon-jin violently shoves the man aside, ordering him to move. Stunned, the coworker quickly backs away, leaving Na-hwi and a seething Hyeon-jin alone in the charged silence, the rejected ice cream now clutched tightly in his hand. Hyeon-jin calls out, his brow furrowed in genuine confusion as he holds up a double-stick chocolate ice cream bar. He asks what on earth this thing is. Barely hiding her smile, Na-hwi explains it's a Twinks bar, meant to be shared. Of all the things he could have picked, it had to be this one. She moves closer, her hands covering his to guide him. She explains that you just snap it in half, but the simple contact makes her heart flutter, and she quickly tries to finish the job. With a sharp crack, the ice cream splits completely unevenly. A tiny piece is left in one hand, a massive chunk in the other. Utterly exasperated, Na-hwi shoves the larger half at him, tells him to enjoy it, and spins around to leave. But he stops her again. He stands there, holding both mismatched pieces, and asks if she really expects him to eat both sides by himself. Na-hwi's shoulders slump in defeat. She guesses this is just how he is. Na-hwi stares, rooted to the spot, as Hyeon-jin strides back toward her through the gentle rain. He holds up the two pieces of the broken ice cream bar, an odd peace offering, and tells her to share it with him. With a clean snap, he separates the halves and extends the larger portion to her. Stunned by this unexpected flicker of consideration, she takes it, a sliver of hope warming her chest. Maybe he wasn't a total monster after all. That hope evaporates instantly. Hyeon-jin's expression hardens as he steps closer, his presence suddenly suffocating. He asks if she noticed the rain, a strange, leading question she confirms. Then, his voice drops to a menacing murmur. He reveals that the CCTV doesn't cover this area. His eyes bore into hers as he asks what exactly she, Na-hwi, was planning to do with him in a blind spot. Na-hwi's mind goes blank, the ice cream forgotten as his chilling accusation hangs in the air between them. pulling her small frame tight against his chest to shield her from the downpour. Pressed against him, Na-hwi is frozen in shock. She quietly points out that he's getting wet, too. Flustered, Hyeon-jin snaps that he's a guy, calling her an idiot for stating the obvious. The moment hangs between them, a silent, awkward truce. Later, Na-hwi finds her thoughts drifting back to him. Her boss started sending her to his house twice a week, but he still wouldn't touch the food. Peeking into his fridge, she sees he might have eaten a little of the ketchup she left. Honestly, knowing these small, sad details about his life made her restless, and she hurried along the path, muttering about being late. Suddenly, she froze. Up ahead, a small group had gathered, and at its center was the one person she desperately wanted to avoid, the chairman. He was lecturing his entourage about mindset and karma when his sharp eyes landed on her, and he openly wondered who she was. A woman beside him smoothly intervened, revealing Na-hwi was the daughter of the beloved director Lee. Before Na-hwi could process what was happening, the woman was calling her forward, gently pushing her toward the imposing family patriarch to give her greetings. Trapped in the center of attention, Na-hwi manages a nervous bow as she introduces herself. The woman beside her beams proudly, announcing that she's Director Lee's daughter, boasting about how Na-hwi raised her kids alone and even got into a top university for architecture. The chairman's gaze is cold and appraising, his expression unreadable. Instead of offering praise, he just turns and orders his assistant to bring him his wallet. Na-hwi's eyes widen as the old man shoves a thick stack of bills toward her, curtly telling her to take it. Nudged forward, she reluctantly accepts the gift, her voice a barely audible whisper. Just then, a mention of someone leaving to deliver food to the eldest young master slices through the awkward silence. Hyeon-jin. Na-hwi's posture stiffens instantly. Even here, she can't escape him. While on the phone, Na-hwi juggles the warm delivery bag, turning down her friend's excited invitation for a Saturday movie marathon. Her mind, however, isn't on films. It's replaying the unsettling scene at the mansion. The madam's insistence that she greet the chairman felt so forced, so off. This wasn't a kind gesture from his family. It was a deliberate, cruel jab. Shaking off the dark thoughts, she quickly ends the call, pressing the key card to the door. The lock chirps open as she tries to convince herself she's just overthinking their twisted family dynamics. He's there, lounging in the sunlit living space as if he'd been waiting for her all along, is Kwon Hyeon-jin. Dressed in a simple collared shirt, he looks impossibly composed. He greets her with an intense, possessive tone, stating that she's finally here. Caught completely off guard, all she can manage is a nervous stammer. As if reading her mind, he snatches the bag from her hand, bluntly declaring that he wakes up at 6 every day. Na-hwi starts to backtrack, but he cuts her off with a sharp "forget it. Come in." He turns to walk away, but freezes when he realizes she hasn't moved. His gaze hardens as he looms over her, his voice dropping low. He questions if she's too scared to even walk in just because he's there. Hyeon-jin's sharp observation that she had no problem entering when he wasn't home slices through the tense air, making Na-hwi jump. Bewildered, she asks how he could have possibly known. With an arrogant scoff, he places a package on the counter, questioning how he wouldn't know. Na-hwi's mind races, trying to rationalize it, but her train of thought crashes to a halt at the sight of a brilliant bouquet of flowers. Roses? A bitter thought coils in her gut as she pictures him returning from a date. He was popular enough, after all. Still, flowers were far too good for a brute like him. A thought that escapes in a faint, unguarded murmur. His head snaps toward her. "Hey," he calls out, his voice dangerously low. He demands to know what she just said, and Na-hwi's surge of energy runs cold, her eyes widening in pure panic. Cornered by his intense stare, Na-hwi finally answers his menacing question with a small, almost inaudible voice. "Spicy fish stew." That's what she'd mumbled. The tension snaps, and she lets out a nervous laugh, trying to make a quick escape. Announcing that she's leaving now that the side dishes are checked, she turns for the door, desperate to avoid another one of his infamous outbursts. But before she can take a single step, his voice cuts through the air, stopping her cold. He asks where she's going. Stunned, Na-hwi turns back as he crosses his arms, his expression unreadable. He issues a simple, unbelievable command. "Set the table." The audacity of it leaves her speechless. Her pity for him vanishes, replaced by a surge of fiery indignation. Did he really expect her to act like his maid? She scoffs internally, realizing that in his eyes, she was nothing more than a cook. Hyeon-jin stands his ground, arms crossed defensively. He has a brand new, unopened rice cooker, but no rice. When he stubbornly declares he can just buy it, an exasperated Na-hwi tells him to go ahead. The problem? The ridiculously wealthy heir has no idea where one even buys rice, looking completely lost when she mentions a nearby supermarket. Somehow, she ends up there with him. The bright lights and cheerful jingle of the D-Mart only amplify Hyeon-jin's inner turmoil as he pushes the cart, wondering what he's gotten himself into. Just as a chipper employee gushes over his model-like features, Hyeon-jin tastes a sample. After declaring the short ribs delicious, he flatly denies being a celebrity, his tone utterly deadpan. Mortified by his bluntness, Na-hwi can only watch as he abruptly walks off, leaving the employee stunned. She offers a quick, flustered apology before chasing after him. Na-hwi's patience finally snaps as they push the cart through the market. She whirls on Hyeon-jin, demanding to know why he had to go and embarrass that poor woman. But his response is a genuine, clueless question. What's a talent? Realizing he truly had no idea, Na-hwi sighs, explaining it was a compliment on his looks. A sly, self-satisfied grin instantly spreads across Hyeon-jin's face as he leans in, fishing for more praise. Before she can process his sudden vanity, a cheerful shop owner mistakes them for newlyweds, gushing over what a handsome groom Hyeon-jin is. Na-hwi's mind short-circuits, and she frantically tries to correct him. The humiliation piles on when a beverage promoter offers them a sample of rose beer, cheerfully recommending it for setting the mood with your spouse, leaving Na-hwi drowning in a sea of mortifying misunderstandings. Flailing her arms in a panic, Na-hwi shouts the first excuse she can think of, that they're underage. Her face burns with embarrassment as she quickly clarifies that they aren't even a couple. Besides, her mind races, a guy like him must already have a girlfriend who would be furious about this whole situation. Unfazed, Hyeon-jin simply grabs a massive 20 kilograms bag of goods. As they leave, he grumbles about why they're hauling something so heavy when it could easily be delivered. Na-hwi tries to protest, but he suddenly stops defeated in his tracks. She collides squarely with his back, the impact making her wince. Rubbing her sore forehead, she looks up, utterly confused by his abrupt halt, only to find they're standing in front of a movie theater. Na-hwi's gaze lands on a vibrant poster for Defenders 2, an action movie her co-worker had been raving about. Noting it opens next week, she cautiously asks Hyeon-jin if he'd like to see it. He instantly bristles, scoffing at the mere suggestion. "Who said I want to?" He snaps back, turning away with a dismissive declaration that the movie is lame and uninteresting. But Na-hwi sees right through the prickly facade. It's his classic move. The more he likes something, the more he pretends to hate it. With a sigh that feels more like a command, he announces they'll go together. Left in his wake, Na-hwi can only accept his abrupt decision, quietly resigning herself to booking the tickets. Na-hwi lies completely sprawled on the floor, every ounce of energy zapped from her fallen form. Looming over her, Hyeon-jin's voice is laced with casual mockery as he calls her weak, questioning if she ever even works out. Na-hwi's teeth grind in silent frustration. It was his idea to do it this way, but she'd insisted on helping carry the heavy load so he wouldn't look strange doing it all alone. A catastrophic miscalculation on her part. He turns and walks toward the kitchen without another word. The soft hum of the refrigerator door opening fills the silence. Na-hwi stares up, her eyes wide with surprise. He quietly asks if she can manage to eat, his earlier teasing completely vanishing, replaced by a flicker of unexpected concern. With his intense gaze still fixed on her, Hyeon-jin gives a quiet nod, telling her to go ahead. Na-hwi's face instantly lights up, her entire demeanor brightening as she eagerly prepares to eat. But as she gets ready, he suddenly asks where she bought the milk. Confused, she tells him it was from the gym's vending machine, a fact that seems to register with him. While she happily hums and examines the carton, her mind races. His intense workout routine, his focus on nutrition, it all starts to click. Then, from out of nowhere, he breaks the silence again, asking for her height. Before she can answer, he casually states that he's 6 feet 2 inches, a measurement from last year. wondering if he's training to be a bodybuilder or a model. He turns back, a flicker of amusement in his eyes, intrigued by her innocent speculation. Sensing his utter confusion, Na-hwi quickly tries to salvage the situation. Deciding to slash her losses, she waves a dismissive hand and tells him to forget it. Her plan was simple: drop off the food and leave. Nothing more. Then, a brilliant idea strikes. Hyeon-jin, she calls out with renewed energy. He turns back, his expression a mask of pure annoyance. What now? He snaps. Completely unfazed by his sharp tone, Na-hwi beams, holding up her phone. She cheerfully asks if he wants to order burgers, announcing that it's her treat. A short while later, she's happily sipping her drink when his voice cuts through the air, his observation flat and direct. She really eats a lot. Unfazed by her earlier observation, Hyeon-jin simply states that it's nice to see her eat so well. His eyes land on her empty cup, and he asks if she's finished with her drink. She confirms, about to offer him a new one, but he moves first. In a flash, he leans across the table, grabs her cup, and takes a long, deliberate sip directly from her straw. The sound seems to echo in the space between them. So, he asks coolly, a confident smirk playing on his lips as he takes another sip. The silence is shattered by an obnoxious, slurping sound. Na-hwi's eyes widen in disbelief. Hyeon-jin, who normally eats with quiet precision, is now draining her drink with theatrical gusto. Mortified, she lunges for the cup, demanding he stop, but he effortlessly holds it just out of her reach. "Don't do what?" he asks, feigning innocence. She insists he give it back since he's finished it, but he counters with a smug grin, reminding her that she gave it to him, making it his. His gaze softens as he leans in, his voice a low murmur as he points out how red her face is. Before she can retort, his arm snakes around her waist, yanking her flush against his chest in a sudden, powerful embrace. Trapped and flustered, Na-hwi is helpless as he tilts his head back, finishing the last drop before looking down at her with a satisfied smirk and declaring how incredibly weak she is. Hyeon-jin leans back, satisfied, thanking Na-hwi for the meal with a sarcastic jab that the coke was the best part. Mortified, she mutters that he's completely unstable, but a tiny part of her is relieved to see him smiling. At least he seemed to be in a good mood. But that relief shatters in an instant. Her gaze falls upon a stunning bouquet of flowers sitting on a nearby table, and her heart plummets. The only possible explanation slams into her. He already has a girlfriend. Humiliation washes over her as she realizes what a fool she's been. Bolting to her feet, she grabs her bag and announces that she's leaving. But his voice, cool and commanding, stops her defeated in her tracks. He asks where she thinks she's going, reminding her that she still has to set up his TV. Before she can even process that, he adds another demand. She also needs to make him dinner. Na-hwi's mind spirals, consumed by pure frustration. What could anyone possibly see in Kwon Hyeon-jin? Sure, he's handsome, but his personality is a complete train wreck. The only explanation that makes sense is his family's immense wealth. But she instantly rebels against that cynical thought. Money isn't everything. Her internal monologue is shattered when a crisp, white envelope slides across the table, stopping right before her hands. Looking up, she sees her boss, the restaurant owner, smiling kindly. She calmly calls it Na-hwi's allowance. Completely taken aback, Na-hwi tries to refuse, but her boss explains that the madam insisted she have it for taxi fare. Na-hwi quickly clarifies that she already has a travel card for that purpose, but the woman's gentle pressure doesn't let up. She urges Na-hwi to simply take it and not make the situation awkward. As the housekeeper gets up to leave, Na-hwi offers a quiet thank you, but the woman pivots back, her expression shifting to one of cheerful scheming. She announces that she's already told the madam she'll be handling the visits to the young master's house herself from now on. With a knowing pat on Na-hwi's shoulder, she urges her to visit Hyeon-jin often, to keep him from being lonely since they click so well. Then comes the bombshell. She reveals that the madam is so fond of Na-hwi, she's considering getting her a studio apartment near the university. Na-hwi's eyes fly open in disbelief, and she scrambles to refuse, insisting she's saved up enough on her own. But the woman's smile never wavers, her voice gentle but firm. She dismisses Na-hwi's protests, telling her that since the madam wants to do this for her, she should simply accept it. Na-hwi stared down at the crisp, white envelope, her mind racing. She couldn't even label the money inside. Was it a salary? Compensation? A sense of dread washed over her as she realized that at this rate, she'd be stuck serving Kwon Hyeon-jin long after she finished college. He already demanded so much, and the thought of bumping into his girlfriend was absolutely mortifying. How could she possibly explain her presence? That she was just the maid's daughter running an errand for the chairman's family? A vibrant bouquet of golden flowers suddenly entered her view, held out as a peace offering. He strides purposefully towards the entrance, determined to make his apology, but freezes mid-step. His forward momentum halts abruptly as the hopeful light in his eyes vanishes, replaced by a dark, conflicted intensity that washes over his handsome features. His gaze drops, locking onto a simple, traditionally wrapped gift left on the floor, undoubtedly from her. Surrounded by a mountain of fiery red kimchi, Na-hwi works tirelessly alongside her boss. The older woman tries to send her home, assuring her they're almost finished, but Na-hwi, ever diligent, insists on seeing the job through. The conversation shifts, landing squarely on Kwon Hyeon-jin. Her boss wonders aloud if he's eating well, revealing he was once an incredibly picky eater. Just as Na-hwi processes this tidbit, her phone vibrates violently on the countertop. Her eyes widen. A text from an unknown number flashes across the screen, the question simple yet loaded. "What are you doing tomorrow?" As Na-hwi stares, completely stunned, her boss unknowingly delivers a critical revelation. It was never about the food. The woman's voice drops, heavy with sorrow as she unravels Hyeon-jin's desolate past. After his parents' tragic passing, he was left utterly alone. The vice president's wife made sure no one truly cared for him, leaving the shy boy adrift in a revolving door of nannies. He only clung to a Madame Jang when his grandfather was watching, sent the boy abroad even though he couldn't adapt. But the final, crushing truth was even darker. The chairman simply couldn't stand his own grandson. This was the moment she first heard of reactive attachment disorder. The restaurant owner lets out a heavy sigh, muttering about karma before giving Na-hwi a dizzying set of instructions. She must ensure Hyeon-jin eats properly, but in the very next breath, she warns Na-hwi not to get too close. The contradictory advice makes Na-hwi's head spin. What is she supposed to do? With a soft, sympathetic laugh, the owner confesses the simple truth. She just feels sorry for the lonely young master. That single admission sends Na-hwi spiraling back in time, plunging her into a memory of a small boy swallowed by the shadows of a vast, empty dining hall. She recalls finding him all alone, his quiet answer, that everyone ran away, still echoing in her mind. She had urged him then to eat, to take care of himself. The violent vibration of her phone ripped Na-hwi from a heavy slumber. "Ugh, my fallen form feels so heavy," she mumbled, fumbling for the device. A sleepy hello was all she managed before a harsh, familiar voice sliced through the fog. "Hey, Na-hwi." Her eyes snapped open, disbelief hitting her like a tidal wave. "Huh, Hyeon-jin, how did you get my number?" A frustrated sigh resonated through the line. "Who the heck are you trying to mess with?" The line went defeated with an abrupt beep. Na-hwi sat stunned, phone still clutched, utterly speechless. Days later, Na-hwi sat with friends, laughter filling the air as they prepared for a movie marathon. A weird text, a strange call, they were just odd memories now. She reflected, Kwon Hyeon-jin, he's holding back better than I thought. Na-hwi's mind reeled, trapped by the image of Hyeon-jin as a neglected child, his reactive attachment disorder a stark reminder of profound loneliness. Then, a hand startled her back to reality. "Are you watching, Na-hwi?" A friend's voice broke through. "Ah, yeah," she mumbled, eyes still distant. "What's wrong? Did your family call?" Another pressed. Well, Suddenly, urgency exploded. "Guys, sorry," she cried, rocketing to her feet. Her friends erupted. "Huh? Hey, Na-hwi, we just started. Where are you going?" "Something urgent came up. I have to go." "Sorry," she called, already dashing away. She raced towards Hyeon-jin's imposing tower. He has a girlfriend, so why am I even worrying? She thought, a futile attempt to calm her racing heart. Her finger decisively hit the doorbell, a soft chime echoing. The door swung open with a soft click, revealing Kwon Hyeon-jin. Na-hwi's breath hitched, her eyes widening in surprise. "Ah, Kwon Hyeon-jin, you're here," she murmured, a nervous energy buzzing between them. She stepped inside, carrying the familiar wrapped package, a vibrant bouquet of golden flowers already gracing the luxurious space. Her thoughts raced as she turned to him. "Did you really graduate high school?" she pressed, concern in her voice. He met her gaze. "Yeah, just one last exam." Na-hwi's worry deepened. "So you're going to college? Are you planning to study here in Korea?" Hyeon-jin's expression clouded over. "She said I can't go to college," he mumbled, his hand instinctively tightening on the package he carried. Na-hwi's jaw dropped. "Why not? Who told you that?" Her voice edged with disbelief. "Madam Jang," he answered, his voice barely a whisper. "Are you sure you heard her right?" Na-hwi insisted. "You graduated from high school, so why wouldn't you be able to go to college?" His eyes, usually so composed, now held a deep turmoil. "I don't know." More importantly, he looked at her then, a raw intensity flaring in his gaze, his lips parting to declare, "You look good." Na-hwi stood rigid as Hyeon-jin's words lashed out, accusing her of hating every step. He spat, claiming she must have been absolutely furious, her chest tightening. Was she counting the days until he left for England? He shoved a small, wrapped box at her. "Handmade tofu," he mumbled, a flicker of vulnerability hardening. "You genuinely hate me, don't you?" he pressed, asking how she felt after days apart. Na-hwi's voice, though quiet, was sharp. "Keep talking like that, and I won't come again." Hyeon-jin's eyes blazed, snapping back it wouldn't matter. He insisted she didn't want to see him. An overwhelming lump formed in her throat. She erupted. "I was busy too." Hyeon-jin faltered, a surprised Na-hwi, escaping his lips. Her words tumbled out, raw and tearful. 500 heads of kimchi, jars scrubbed raw. "Do you even know how hard that is?" she choked, admitting it felt like a heavy burden, a mere excuse. As he reached for her shoulder, Na-hwi, still tear-choked, clarified. It wasn't neglect from exhaustion, nor just kimchi, his expression morphing into dumbfounded realization. She stared, overwhelmed, struggling to comprehend the intensity directed at her. "You don't even know what you're talking about," Na-hwi managed to articulate, her voice a thin, shaky whisper, trying desperately to push back against the emotional avalanche threatening to consume them both. Furious with herself, she frantically wiped her eyes. Why wouldn't they stop? This wasn't what she came for, and snapping at him wouldn't do any good. His silence was deafening, and she braced for his typical fiery reaction, imagining him lashing out, demanding to know why she was making a scene. When the blast never came, she steeled her resolve. Fine, she'd be the one to make peace. Holding up the movie tickets, she decided dragging this out was useless. But just as she looked up, he moved, his form suddenly blocking her view. Her eyes widened, zeroing in on a small carton of strawberry milk sitting on the counter. A completely absurd thought fired through her mind. Could that possibly be for her? Before she could dismiss it, Hyeon-jin snatched the carton up, his movements stiff and deliberate. He thrust it towards her, his gaze fixed firmly on the floor, refusing to meet her eyes. A flash of memory, her fumbling messily with a milk carton before, made her hesitate. Her pause seemed to agitate him, and he snapped, telling her to just drink it and stop whining. The sudden outburst startled a small hiccup out of her. She protested that she wasn't whining, but he immediately pointed to the hiccup as proof. Annoyed, she retorted that he'd startled her. Taking a defiant sip, she watched him. The charged air settled for a moment before he asked if she'd eaten lunch. She hadn't. Another beat of silence passed before he asked, "Do you have rice?" Without missing a beat, Na-hwi unpacked a vibrant spread of side dishes, explaining they were prepared for his grandfather's spicy palate. She proudly pointed out the stir-fried pork, kimchi pancakes, and a special stew. But after a quick taste, a jolt of panic fired through her. It was far too spicy for Hyeon-jin. With a determined grin, she began frantically adjusting the seasoning, a chaotic flurry that left him watching in bewildered silence. As she worked, she absent-mindedly mentioned needing to go back to school in Korea. Hyeon-jin's brow furrowed, and he quietly remarked that with her personality, she wouldn't last. "What?" she retorted, spinning around to grab some tofu. Suddenly, his hand fired out, gripping her shoulder with surprising force. His face was a mask of pure shock, his voice trembling as the realization hit him like a lightning bolt. "What did you just say? You actually came back to Korea?" Hyun-jin grumbled that he'd been tricked into returning to Korea for some family party. As Na-hwi lifted the lid off the steaming rice cooker, the air between them instantly shifted. His face hardened. "Hey, Lee Na-hwi," he began, his voice low and serious. "I'm going back to England." He slashed her off before she could speak, spitting out that he hated being here. When she asked why, he just growled that everything about Seoul infuriated him. Trying to break the tension, she showed him his soupy rice, explaining he'd used too much water. But as she held up her hand to demonstrate the correct level, his own fired out, pressing firmly against hers. She froze, every thought scattering as she stared at their touching hands, her face flushing a deep crimson. Completely overwhelmed by the intense contact, she yanked her hand back and announced she was leaving, needing to escape the suffocating tension. But Hyun-jin wasn't done. He called after her, demanding she wash the dishes. Na-hwi fired back that the helper was coming, but as she turned for the door, he stopped her again. He silently held out a small envelope. Bewildered, she took it and pulled out a movie ticket. Her eyes widened, her gaze snapping back to his face as she asked in a small voice if it was for her. He simply met her stunned look and confirmed it was. With a brilliant, hopeful smile, Kwon Hyeon-jin held out the movie ticket. He confirmed it was for Wednesday, adding with a playful confidence that she probably didn't have anything to do anyway. But his assumption instantly soured the mood. Na-hwi's expression shuddered as she turned her back on him, curtly suggesting he go watch the movie with his girlfriend and have a good time. Just as she tried to walk past, his hand fired out, his fingers wrapping firmly around her arm and halting her escape. His voice was low but carried an intense weight as he insisted he didn't have one. Stunned, Na-hwi could only stammer, "What?" His frustration finally boiled over. Grabbing her other shoulder, he leaned in, his voice rising with desperate sincerity. "I said I don't have a girlfriend, Na-hwi." She flinched, mortified by his intensity, but he held fast, insisting he didn't have anyone. He thrust his phone at her, insisting she look for herself. Na-hwi flinches away, her face flushing hot as she cries out that he's way too close. Desperate to derail his intensity, she points a trembling finger toward the nearby table. What's that then?" Her gaze fixes on a small, vibrant bouquet. Suspicion laces her voice as she notes that he's always bringing flowers home. Roses, specifically. A flicker of irritation crosses Hyun-jin's face before he explodes with a vehement denial, shouting that he never brought those home. The sudden outburst stuns Na-hwi into silence. Her eyes widen as a wild, impossible idea takes root. Staring at his beet-red, flustered expression, she asks in a small voice, "Don't tell me. You bought them yourself?" Her words hit their mark. He can only avert his gaze, clutching his phone and credit card in a white-knuckled grip as she finishes. "That bouquet? With your own money?" Na-hwi's question hits its mark with pinpoint accuracy. "You really bought it yourself?" she asks again, her gaze unwavering. Hyun-jin flinches, turning his head away as a hot blush floods his face. He can't even look at her. Seeing his complete mortification, Na-hwi begins to babble, spinning a wild theory about the florist owing him money just to explain away the gesture. His sharp, "Hey," slices through her rambling, slashing her off instantly. She freezes, quickly backtracking that she just found it surprising to see this new side of him. But as she watches his flustered expression, a shocking realization barrels through her mind. She actually thinks he's cute. Recovering his composure, Hyun-jin lets out a heavy sigh and thrusts the movie tickets into her hands. He bluntly tells her to be there by 3 on Wednesday and to watch it with her friend, his tone leaving no room for argument. His face looms closer, his expression a storm of raw desperation. He confesses he doesn't have any friends, the words hanging in the tense air between them. Flustered by his intensity, Na-hwi's mind races for a solution, even suggesting his driver, Mr. Kim. Overwhelmed by his aggressive sincerity, she finally relents with a simple, defeated "fine." Giving him a final look, she promises to see him Wednesday before the door clicks shut, sealing him in his silent, luxurious prison. Alone, Hyun-jin collapses, the fight completely draining from his fallen form. A ragged sigh escapes him as he clutches his leg, his phone screen glowing in the dim light. That was way too close. Heaving for breath, Na-hwi leans against the cool metal doorframe, the delivery bag feeling like a ton of bricks. Her mind races, panicking as she realizes her work schedule directly overlaps with the movie time he just demanded she attend. She presses the doorbell, but before the chime can even finish, the door is yanked open. Kwon Hyeon-jin fills the entire doorway, already dressed in a sharp coat, his expression intense. He immediately accuses her, asking if she's protesting their movie date. Before she can even process the question, he's chiding her for not being able to wait a single minute. Na-hwi is floored. He didn't just wait, he raced across the city. Suddenly, he leans in, his focus shifting entirely as he asks if she's wearing cologne. Mistaking her surprise for disgust, he anxiously wonders if he smells bad, but she quickly stammers no, telling him to just keep it. The theater is right in the heart of Gangnam, and Na-hwi's confidence instantly withers. She thought her outfit was decent enough, but surrounded by the city's elite, it feels like nothing more than an old knit sweater and outdated skinny jeans. Her steps falter, coming to an abrupt halt. Hyeon-jin turns back, completely puzzled by her sudden stop. "What are you doing?" he asks. Clinging to the bag of side dishes like a shield, Na-hwi keeps her eyes fixed on the floor. She reminds him they still need to put the food away, her voice barely a whisper as she voices her deepest insecurity. "We don't suit each other." Utterly bewildered by her sudden emotional retreat, Hyeon-jin can only stare, insisting they need to go or they'll be late for the movie. Hyeon-jin pauses, shooting a dangerously low-voiced warning over his shoulder. He tells Na-hwi that if she dares to run away while he's gone, she'll regret it. Flustered, she can only stammer that she wouldn't and urges him to hurry. As he disappears inside, leaving her alone in the sterile hallway, her earlier words haunt her. They really don't suit each other. Moments later, by the car, the suffocating tension returns. He demands to know what she's doing and orders her to get in the front. Refusing to meet his gaze, she quietly insists it's more comfortable in the back. His patience snaps. "I said sit next to me," he commands. Her response is a quiet but unwavering no. His eyes narrow, a muscle twitching in his jaw as he seethes in silent frustration. Hyeon-jin's patience completely shatters. With his driver watching from the front seat, he glares at Na-hwi and coldly asks if she's not getting in. Defeated, he finally snarls for her to do whatever she wants. The car door slams shut with a deafening bang, leaving a stunned Na-hwi standing alone on the pavement. Inside, the silence is thick with tension as Hyeon-jin stews. His driver, Chief Lee, breaks the quiet with small talk, complimenting Na-hwi and asking after his mother. He then probes, asking if it's just her and the young master seeing a movie. Flustered, Na-hwi quickly explains she was only dropping off kimchi, rationalizing that Hyeon-jin must feel comfortable with her since they're the same age. As the driver agrees, Na-hwi's own excuse suddenly clicks in her mind, and her eyes widen in horrified realization. Hyeon-jin stews in the back of the car, arms crossed defensively over his chest. His pride is clearly stinging as he mutters, annoyed that she couldn't have at least said something. The car glides to a halt in front of a massive cinema, and he storms out the instant the door opens, not sparing a single glance behind him. His secretary, looking concerned, asks if he should wait nearby. But Na-hwi steps in with a surprisingly bright smile, assuring the man that she'll take care of Hyeon-jin. The secretary, caught off guard but relieved, agrees, asking only that she see him home safely. Once inside the bustling lobby, however, Na-hwi's confidence wavers. He's vanished into the crowd. Just as she begins to worry he's gotten lost, she overhears a group of girls whispering in awe. Following their starstruck gazes, her own eyes widen in disbelief. There he was, standing coolly by the elevators, effortlessly drawing the gazes of everyone nearby. The whispers were immediate. Was he a model? He was seriously handsome. Just as Na-hwi approached, calling his name, Hyeon-jin's head snapped towards her, his expression turning sharp and intense. His gaze could freeze someone solid. Completely flustered, Na-hwi still managed to point out his mistake, meekly explaining that he was waiting for the even-numbered elevator when they needed the odds. But before he could respond, a human tidal wave erupted. The crowd surged forward, knocking Na-hwi off balance. In a flash, a hand fired out, gripping the front of her shirt and yanking her forward with shocking force, pulling her safely out of the throng. The crowd surged without warning, slamming them violently against the subway car's interior. A strained gasp escaped Hyeon-jin as he took the full force of the impact, his fallen form shielding hers. Pinned between him and the chaos, Na-hwi pleaded with the faceless throng, telling them to stop pushing. But through her panic, a stunning realization hit her. Hyeon-jin's arms were locked, his hands pressed flat against the wall in a trembling, desperate attempt to create a protective space for her. He was trying so hard not to touch anyone. She scoffed internally, what an idiot. Just a moment ago, he was acting like some lofty prince. Had he ever even experienced a rush hour crush before? She figured England was nothing like this. As another wave hit, he leaned in further, his fallen form becoming a rigid cage to protect her. The elevator doors slid shut, encasing them in a sudden, heavy silence. Na-hwi's heart hammered against her ribs, the frantic beat echoing in her ears as Kwon Hyeon-jin remained pressed against her. Overwhelmed by his proximity and the subtle scent of his perfume, she could only think his name, her mind racing. For Hyeon-jin, it was a moment of complete surrender. He sagged against her shoulder, his defenses crumbling as he felt utterly exposed, stripped bare of his pride. Then, just as quickly, he pulled away. The intense vulnerability vanished, replaced by a composed mask as he asked how much time they had until the movie started. Blinking in surprise, Na-hwi stammered that they had 25 minutes. A sudden realization strikes Na-hwi, and she spins on her heel with a gasp. Throwing a hand out to stop him, she tells Hyeon-jin to wait right there for a moment before darting away into the theater lobby. He stands frozen, completely baffled by her abrupt departure. "What?" he calls out, but she's already gone. Her voice echoes back, a frantic promise that she'll be incredibly quick if he just stays put. Hyeon-jin watches the spot where she vanished, his initial shock softening into a quiet, almost vulnerable expression. A stranger with neatly styled hair approaches him, his expression unreadable as he politely asks if Hyeon-jin has a minute to spare. At the concession stand, Na-hwi makes a careful selection, half caramel, half onion popcorn. A small smile touches her lips as she juggles the snacks. She thinks the dizzying sweet and salty combination is a perfect choice, a simple pleasure she hopes might surprise Kwon Hyeon-jin. For a brief, unguarded moment, she allows herself to wonder if he'll actually like it, a flicker of genuine hope in her otherwise guarded eyes. The thought alone is enough to send a blush creeping up her neck. Na-hwi is lost in a brief daydream, picturing Hyeon-jin with that infuriatingly confident smirk of his. She imagines him teasing her, his voice low as he asks why it matters how he enjoys something, as long as she's the one who gave it to him. The possessiveness in her own fantasy snaps her back to reality. Shaking her head, she scolds herself for getting lost in thought and hurries on, reminding herself that he's waiting. Just as she's about to call out to him, she freezes. Hyeon-jin isn't alone. A beautiful, well-dressed woman is standing before him, speaking with an earnest expression. The popcorn suddenly feels heavy in Na-hwi's arms. The woman's voice is clear as she confesses that she's never done this before, but he's her ideal type. With a hopeful smile, she asks for his number, completely unaware of Na-hwi standing just a few feet away, watching everything unfold. Na-hwi's expression is blank for a second, her mind processing the scene. Then, her eyes fly wide with a sudden, painful realization. A mortified blush spreads across her cheeks as the stark difference in their worlds crashes down on her. This is his life. These are the people he belongs with. The thought is immediate and sharp. She shouldn't interfere. Clutching the snacks to her chest, she spins around and practically flees, desperate to escape the overwhelming reminder of her place. From the shadows, Na-hwi watched the woman standing with Hyeon-jin. An undeniable thought surfaced. She was pretty. A small, bittersweet smile touched Na-hwi's lips. This was good. This worked out well. Looking at the elegant woman, Na-hwi thought they suited each other perfectly. A flicker of hope ignited within her. If Hyeon-jin and this woman worked out, maybe, just maybe, he would finally leave her alone. She silently willed him to give the woman his number quickly. Suddenly, Hyeon-jin's voice, cold and sharp, slashed through the air. He questioned why the woman wanted his number, his tone dripping with disdain. Na-hwi flinched, startled by his unexpected cruelty. He pressed further, asking why she was inquiring about someone else's personal information. The abrupt shift in atmosphere was jarring, and Na-hwi could only scream his name in her mind, caught completely off guard. The air grew thick with tension as she found herself trapped in the middle of their awkward standoff. The other woman, misunderstanding the entire situation, apologized profusely, admitting she didn't realize Hyeon-jin had a girlfriend. Mortified, Na-hwi quickly tried to explain, stammering an apology for interrupting their conversation. Desperate to escape, she just apologized again and turned to flee. But Hyeon-jin's voice stopped her defeated in her tracks. With a low, demanding tone that sent a shiver down her spine, he asked why she was apologizing. Flustered, Na-hwi explains that the woman who approached him wasn't a scammer, she just liked him. She asks, exasperated, if he's truly never had someone ask for his number before. Hyeon-jin scoffs, retorting that he would never even be in a place like this if it wasn't for her. Sighing at his complete cluelessness, Na-hwi patiently explains that people exchange numbers to get to know each other. His expression darkens instantly, his amber eyes locking onto hers as he asks if that happens to her too. She admits it does, but his jealousy twists her words into a bitter accusation, sneering that she would have given her number away excitedly. Confused by his sudden hostility, Na-hwi timidly offers him the popcorn and drink she'd bought as a thank you, pointing out that she got both caramel and onion flavors. Hyeon-jin's face contorts with cold disdain. He cruelly rejects the gesture, demanding to know who said he would eat such stuff and when he ever asked her to buy it. Standing frozen amidst the bustling crowd, Na-hwi stares in stunned silence, his intense words echoing in her ears as he turns his back on her, leaving her utterly humiliated. Hyeon-jin complains irritably about how slow she was, grumbling that Seoul is too crowded and annoying. Clutching the snack she bought for him, Na-hwi questions his foul mood, silently lamenting that she only wanted him to experience something new. His frustration finally cracks as he admits the real reason for his anger. He hates when she disappears, because that's when other people bother him. A sudden wave of understanding washes over Na-hwi. His diagnosis wasn't just a label. His aggression was simply a childish defense against the deep-seated fear his attachment disorder caused. Sighing at his immaturity, she reaches out and shoves a piece of popcorn directly into his mouth, shocking him into stunned silence. Flustered, Hyeon-jin shoves the armful of snacks at Na-hwi, awkwardly trying to frame it as a lesson in work-related knowledge. A bright, genuine smile breaks across her face as she accepts, cheekily apologizing for her earlier forwardness. Internally, Na-hwi decides to let it go. Since he admitted he was anxious because of her, she resolves to create at least one good memory, hoping a pleasant evening might ease his troubled mind. But after the movie, his controlling nature resurfaces. He demands she go straight home, arguing his own meal is waiting. Na-hwi pleads, insisting she wants to eat out like a normal person. Annoyed, he asks if her longing is more important than him eating. She shouts that, of course it is. As he starts making a call, she snatches the phone, mortified, and finally relents. A triumphant smirk plays on his lips as he begins listing off expensive cuisines, asking her what she desires. As Hyeon-jin lists off one decadent option after another, a memory suddenly strikes Na-hwi with the force of a revelation. He absolutely hates fish. A defiant idea sparks within her. Snatching the phone from his grasp, she looks up at him with a deceptively sweet smile and declares her longing for sushi. It's a clear ultimatum: fish, or she's not eating out with him. To her complete bewilderment, he accepts without argument. Now, sitting across from him in a quiet, high-end restaurant, she stares at the immaculate plate of sushi. Her clever plan to escape has backfired spectacularly, leaving her utterly baffled as to why he agreed. The silence in the opulent restaurant is thick with unspoken tension. Na-hwi stares at the glistening pieces of sushi, her mind racing. Her entire plan had hinged on his supposed pickiness, a memory from their shared past she'd clung to as an escape route. Summoning her courage, she questions him, her voice barely a whisper, reminding him that he was the one who didn't eat fish. Hyeon-jin's expression is unreadable as he calmly picks up a piece and eats it. Her confusion mounts as he explains his true aversion. He just hates picking out the bones. The ridiculousness of his excuse leaves her utterly dumbfounded. Sushi has no bones. He wasn't picky, he was just a spoiled child. As she chews, stunned into compliance, he watches her intently before asking if it's good. His tone is soft, a stark contrast to his usual aggressive demeanor, and he even offers her his side dish, his awkward attempt at kindness almost jarring. As their meal is served by a private attendant, a man familiar to Hyeon-jin approaches, speaking on his phone. When asked if he's with a girl, the man scoffs, flashing his screen to reveal a picture of a muscular trainer from his gym. Na-hwi catches a glimpse and innocently remarks that the man in the photo is good-looking. The simple comment instantly irritates Hyeon-jin, who glares at her, wondering if she has any sense of courtesy. The moment is interrupted when Hyeon-jin casually slides a large banknote across the table as a tip, a gesture that makes Na-hwi freeze. The vast, insurmountable gap between their worlds feels more real than ever. Lost in his own turbulent thoughts, Hyeon-jin recalls their movie date. He scoffs internally. How funny that he pitted a girl like her. They weren't on equal footing. Every seemingly kind act she performed felt like a favor born of obligation, not genuine feeling. A heavy silence settles between them, thick with the unspoken tension from the restaurant. Watching her eat, Hyeon-jin's voice is uncharacteristically soft as he asks if the food is good. Na-hwi nods, but the compliment only deepens her insecurity. Her expression darkens as she quietly admits she always assumed it was intense interrogation for him to eat her cooking. The confession baffles him, and he mishears her mumbled words, asking about ketchup stew. Flustered, Na-hwi blurts out that it was kimchi stew. A flicker of something unreadable crosses his face before he dismisses her fears as silly. Looking directly at her, his voice low and serious, he declares that everything she's ever made for him, Na-hwi, has been delicious. The raw sincerity in his tone leaves her utterly speechless. Desperate for a distraction, she takes a bite of sushi, only for the potent wasabi to send a jolt through her senses, making her eyes sting. Seizing the opportunity, she fumbles for a tissue, forcing a weak laugh as she blames the spice for her watery eyes. Seeing her distress, Hyeon-jin immediately offers to get her a new dish, his instinct to fix the problem kicking in. But Na-hwi quickly stops him, not wanting any more of his grand gestures. He settles back down, his expression unreadable. Then, in a moment of stunning quiet, he picks up a piece of tuna, carefully removes the glob of wasabi, and places the perfectly prepared sushi onto her plate. She watches, utterly frozen, as this small, considerate act speaks louder than any of his demanding words ever could. The air hangs thick with unspoken tension following his gesture. Confused by the sudden gentleness, Na-hwi quietly urges him to eat. Hyeon-jin watches her, his thoughts a tangled mess of suspicion and reluctant admiration. He reminds himself she can't possibly be this nice, yet a part of him acknowledges this softer side exists. Just as this fragile truce settles, his phone vibrates harshly on the table, the name, Chung-jin, lighting up the screen. Na-hwi points it out, but he casually dismisses it. Uncomfortable with being the reason he'd ignore an important call, she insists he should answer. Her simple concern is a trigger. His expression darkens instantly as he looms over the table, his hand hovering over the device. A menacing glint enters his eyes as he asks if he should answer it then, his voice a low, possessive threat that makes her energy run cold. A cold chill snakes down Na-hwi's spine as Kwon Hyeon-jin's possessive threat hangs in the air. Before she can react, he snatches her phone from the table, his movements sharp and deliberate. Her eyes widen in disbelief as she stumbles to her feet, demanding to know what he's doing, but he silences her with a sharp command to sit down. His gaze darkens as he looks at the caller ID, muttering under his breath that it's that scoundrel. He thrusts the phone towards her, his voice a low, accusatory growl as he asks if it's her boyfriend. Panicked, Na-hwi denies it, her mind racing. Under his suffocating glare, she reluctantly answers the call, trying to keep her voice steady as a cheerful friend named Chung-jin greets her, completely oblivious to the intense drama unfolding at the dinner table. On the other end of the line, Chung-jin's voice is a burst of oblivious energy as he excitedly plans an all-night bowling session, completely unaware of the danger Na-hwi is in. Trapped by the storm brewing across the table, she desperately tries to decline, stammering that she can't stay out late. Her heart pounds under the immense weight of Hyeon-jin's oppressive, silent fury. But her friend won't take no for an answer, his pleas growing more insistent. Before she can even promise to call back, a hand flashes through the air, snatching the phone from her tight grip. Hyeon-jin brings the device to his ear, his handsome features twisted into a mask of pure rage. He speaks into the receiver, his voice a low, intense growl, telling the boy on the other end that he was told to hang up before adding a brutally sharp insult. The call ends with a sharp, definitive click. Hyeon-jin's voice drops to a menacing whisper, delivering a chilling threat about the severe consequences awaiting her if that boy ever dared to call again. Na-hwi's shock hardens into pure fury. She shouts his full name, her voice trembling with utter disbelief. He turns back with infuriating calm, simply asking what the problem is before placing her phone on the table like a trophy. Stunned by his audacity, she demands to know what he thinks he's doing, wondering if he has any concept of her feelings at all. Before she can leave, he leans over the table, his presence suffocating, and commands her not to go. His raw jealousy spills out, questioning why she'd meet a friend like Chang-jin but not him. Protective instincts flare, and Na-hwi warns him not to speak about her friend that way. Hyeon-jin just scoffs, dismissing the very idea with a sneer. His face contorts with a dark, possessive anger. Hyeon-jin decrees that Na-hwi and Chang-jin are not friends, commanding her to tell that scoundrel to slash the nonsense. The sheer audacity of his demand is the final straw. Na-hwi pushes herself away from the table, her appetite completely gone. She declares that she's leaving, ignoring his protests that she hasn't finished eating. The air in the room is suffocating, and she knows she'll get sick if she stays any longer. He follows her out into the cold night. As she walks, a storm of conflicting thoughts consumes her. They just don't understand each other. For a while, she'd held on to a fragile hope, believing they could get along because of the rare moments he showed a kinder side. But the past always rushes back, sharp and painful, memories of his cruel words and cold rejections. This is exactly why she tried so desperately to avoid him, to protect the quiet, ordinary life he seems so determined to destroy. The weight of his rage hangs in the air, thick and suffocating. As Na-hwi tries to turn away, to escape this nightmare, his voice cuts through the night, shouting her name. His hand shoots out, gripping her arm and yanking her to a halt. The physical contact sends a jolt of panic through her. She looks up at him, her voice barely a whisper, pleading for him to get out of her way, to just let her go home. But Hyeon-jin's expression is a tempest of frustration and pain. He demands to know how he could ever be just friends with her, how he's supposed to stand by when she affects him so deeply. Exhausted and emotionally battered, Na-hwi can only say she has no strength left to fight him. He can't seem to comprehend it, his voice cracking as he screams that she's pretty, cute, and adorable, a raw, desperate confession that sounds more like an accusation than a compliment. His frantic confession continues, the words tumbling out with a raw, unhinged sincerity. Leaning closer, his voice thick with an emotion she can't name, he admits that she's so pretty it's driving him unstable. For the first time, his arrogant mask completely shatters, revealing a vulnerable flush across his sharp features and a look of pure, agonizing honesty in his eyes. His voice then softens, becoming a low, almost breathless murmur as he speaks her name, Na-hwi. The sound hangs in the air between them, heavy and fragile. Na-hwi can only stare back, completely frozen as silent tears stream down her face. This raw, unfiltered confession is more terrifying than any of his threats. Suddenly, he grabs her wrist, his touch surprisingly firm as he insists on taking her home. He claims he made a promise to his driver, but it's a transparent excuse. Na-hwi tries to pull away, questioning if he sees her as a helpless child. As onlookers begin to whisper about the intense public confession, a deep blush spreads across Hyeon-jin's face. Mortified, he just wants to disappear, leaving Na-hwi to desperately hail a taxi, needing to escape the suffocating weight of it all. Inside the stifling silence of the taxi, the radio murmurs about the season's first snow falling over Seoul. The quiet forecast is a stark contrast to the raw tension vibrating between Na-hwi and Kwon Hyeon-jin. As she stares out the window, watching the delicate flakes drift past the city lights, he breaks the quiet. His voice is a low, intense whisper, confessing that he's going eccentric because she's so pretty. But Na-hwi's mind is elsewhere, consumed with guilt over his outburst and the need to apologize to her friend, Chang-jin. As her hand instinctively moves toward her phone, Hyeon-jin's larger hand suddenly covers hers, pressing it firmly against the device. She flinches, her eyes wide with shock. He turns away, hiding his mortified face with his other hand, but his grip remains, a silent, possessive command that freezes her in place. Inside the quiet of the taxi, Na-hwi finally lets out a long, shaky breath, the tension of the evening slowly seeping from her shoulders as she leans against the cool glass. She chides herself for her own weakness, for the way her heart dangerously softened at just a few desperate words from him. Later, back in her room, she forces a calm tone for Chong-jin, apologizing for the earlier chaos by vaguely blaming a fight with a friend. Completely exhausted, she cancels their bowling plans and hangs up, the phone slipping from her fingers as she collapses onto her bed. But her peace is shattered when her screen lights up again. It's Kwon Hyeon-jin. Her heart hammers as his raw, agonizing question from before echoes in her mind. How could they possibly stay friends? With his grip on her arm tightening, Kwon Hyeon-jin resorts to blatant blackmail, threatening to call her manager with a fabricated story about her spending the night out drinking. Exhaustion wars with frustration as Na-hwi reminds him she's already refused his advances. But he's relentless, obsessively demanding to know her plans for New Year's Eve. When she tiredly admits she's just staying home, a slow, brilliant smile transforms his intense features. He points out that the 31st is a Saturday, the day her mother delivers side dishes to his family. A blush creeps up his neck as he leans in, his voice dropping to a hopeful whisper, asking if he could stay the night at her place that day. Na-hwi reels back, calling him unstable, but he just calmly reminds her of his earlier words, "I told you, not late." The memory surfaces, sharp and vivid. A younger Na-hwi, face flushed with anxiety, moves through the quiet mansion. Every shadow feels like a pair of watching eyes, and the weight of her position as the housemaid's daughter is crushing. In the kitchen, Hyeon-jin corners her, his question catching her off guard. He wants to know why she's taking the fish out of his meal. With a blush creeping up his neck, he awkwardly reminds her that she hadn't eaten the sushi, calling it gross, that they'd prepare something she dislikes. His clumsy concern is brushed aside by her quiet, earth-shattering announcement. She informs him she won't be coming around much anymore. Panic flashes in his eyes as he grabs her, demanding to know why. With a steady voice, she explains that she's going to college and moving out. The news hits him like a physical blow, leaving him stunned as her world finally begins to move forward, threatening to leave him far behind. Trying to bridge the tense silence, Na-hwi offers a cautious suggestion about a man named Director Yoon, his father's former chief of staff. She gently encourages him to reach out, insisting it wouldn't be hard. But her concern shatters against his defensive wall. Hyeon-jin turns on her, his voice laced with suspicion as he demands to know what it matters to her. His sharp reaction forces her to retreat inward, a wave of regret washing over her for being too nosy. She remembers her mother's quiet warning, that without his own allies, Hyeon-jin could be cast aside by the chairman, just as he was when he was a boy. Announcing she's leaving, she turns, only to be yanked back by his firm grip on her arm. He's already on the phone, his jaw tight as he confirms a meeting. The call ends, leaving Na-hwi bewildered as he informs her that Director Yoon wants to see him immediately. The chaotic present dissolves, replaced by the soft, hazy glow of a memory from years ago. A younger, more carefree Na-hwi beams with an innocent, unguarded smile. She looks up at Hyeon-jin and proudly announces that she did exactly as he had said, her bright eyes filled with a simple happiness that pierces through time. The memory sharpens, focusing on a specific date that was seared into his mind, December 31st. He had also done what she asked. In the recollection, he pulls her close, his larger frame enveloping her as he rests his head against hers. His words from that night return, a low, possessive warning whispered against her hair, a demand daring her to even try leaving his side before the clock struck midnight. As the car glides through the city, Director Yoon expresses his surprise, noting how confident their contact had been about S University. With a reassuring smile, he tells Hyeon-jin not to worry. He'll handle the college admissions for the following year, asking only for his trust. But for Hyeon-jin, waiting isn't an option. He quietly asks if it's impossible to go this year. The director gently explains that it's too late, advising him that there's no need to rush. Pressed for a reason behind his urgency, Hyeon-jin denies having one. His gaze drifts out the window, a silent, agonizing thought consuming him. If he waits, he won't be able to see her anymore. Stepping out of the car, he reluctantly accepts the director's promise of help. Meanwhile, Na-hwi stands in a grand, unfamiliar room when a voice suddenly calls her name, pulling her into yet another unforeseen situation. The click of the lock turning finds Hyeon-jin already standing in the doorway, his presence immediately blocking Na-hwi's exit. He questions where she's going, and she wearily explains she was just dropping off the side dishes her mother had prepared for him. She urges him to eat while they're still hot, but her attempt to leave is slashed short. He yanks her back by the strap of her heavy backpack, his expression turning into a childish pout as he demands she cook for him first. Exasperated, Na-hwi warns that if he continues to act this way, she won't be with him on that day. The threat lands perfectly. His face falls as he mutters that her tactic is low, but then he boasts about a successful college admissions meeting, fabricating a story about being the football captain. The absurd lie makes Na-hwi stop cold, her disbelief turning to disgust as she declares she's leaving him. Panicked, he quickly retracts the statement, a rare sincerity in his eyes as he tells her she's grown up well. A wistful thought escapes Na-hwi. If only she had come sooner, she might have been able to go to college with him next year. Hyeon-jin's hand tightens on her backpack strap from behind, his tone laced with scorn as he asks if she really wants to go to his school, a women's university. The atmosphere instantly chills when she corrects him, clarifying that she's going to be women's university. His voice turns sharp, demanding to know why she kept it a secret. Na-hwi simply states the obvious, he never asked. Their tense exchange is briefly interrupted, but Hyeon-jin's focus is unshakable. Before she can protest, he unclips her student ID. A rare, soft smile touches his lips as he studies her old photo, but the moment is fleeting. His gaze hardens as he issues a firm command, "Don't slash your hair." Holding her student ID, Kwon Hyeon-jin muses that while a bob slash is cute, he has decided he prefers her hair long. His possessive declaration is interrupted by an elderly woman, who smiles warmly and remarks that Na-hwi's boyfriend seems quite fond of students. Mortified, Na-hwi stammers that he's not her boyfriend, but the woman is already gushing over her photo, praising how she's blossomed. Leaning so close that Na-hwi can feel the warmth from his fallen form, Hyeon-jin agrees, his voice low as he whispers that her eyes are the prettiest. The unexpected compliment leaves her speechless and blushing furiously. His intensity follows them from the elevator to the lobby, where he dismisses her obligations to help her mother prepare for his family's ancestral rites, simply commanding her to spend Christmas with him instead. Na-hwi felt a suffocating truth. She couldn't leave. Hyeon-jin's arm abruptly pulled her back, a jolt stealing her breath. "Kwon Hyeon-jin," she cried, facing him. "Are you messing with me? If I'm not coming, why ask me to?" He calmly explained it would please the chairman and silence family gossip. He then moved to take her student ID. "Forget it, give it back," he insisted, ignoring her protests. As he secured the card, Na-hwi groaned, utterly exasperated. "Ugh, seriously, don't you have a passport photo?" He simply held her ID. "Even if I do, I don't want to give it to you." His gaze hardened, and he commanded her into the car. As the driver greeted them, Hyeon-jin swiftly pushed Na-hwi inside. "Kwon Hyeon-jin, don't believe him," she pleaded, but Hyeon-jin merely instructed them to take her to Hanam-dong. "What? You're not going?" she asked, baffled. He leaned in, his intense eyes fixated on hers. "Are you lonely, Na-hwi?" His whisper, her name a possessive demand, enveloped her in his unsettling longing. The question hangs in the charged air of the car, a blatant dismissal of her entire life struggle. Hyeon-jin leans even closer, his arm bracketing her head as his hand grips the seat, effectively caging her in. Even the driver shoots a nervous glance into the rearview mirror, a bead of sweat tracing a path down his temple, completely ignored by the young master. Na-hwi's composure finally shatters. Her voice, laced with frantic disbelief, rings out as she demands to know what on earth he's talking about. His words are a wild accusation. "You really can't function without." His hand fired out, palm flattening against her cheek, thumb tracing the line of her jaw with shocking force. A sharp impact echoed in the confined space. "Nah, what are you doing?" she cried, flinching back from his aggressive touch. The driver, Mr. Kim, shifted uncomfortably in the rearview mirror. Na-hwi's voice dropped to a desperate whisper. Mr. Kim is right there. What are you saying out loud? If you keep acting like this, the family's going to. He ignored her, his grip tightening as he snatched her student ID, unclenching her fingers from the precious card. Hup, hey, the ID photo, she protested, but he merely thrust it towards her. I will give them. Just get inside, quickly. The luxury car's engine rumbled to life, a low hum as it pulled away from the curb. Na-hwi clutched her backpack, her gaze fixed on the passing scenery, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. Mr. Kim cleared his throat, breaking the heavy silence. Madam said La Galbi is delicious. She asked me to give this to Hyeon-jin. Na-hwi's head snapped up. Huh. Mr. Kim smiled, a placid, almost knowing expression. Oh, I see. Na-hwi averted her gaze again, her voice barely audible. Thank you. Sorry for the trouble. The words felt hollow, a forced politeness in the face of suffocating control. A faint, resigned smile touches Na-hwi's lips as she stares at her phone. No, she tells herself, waiting around for him would be far worse. It was better to just get this over with. The screen illuminates a series of increasingly possessive messages from Hyeon-jin sent the day before. His texts aren't requests, but commands. Pack the ID photo with her short hair, send him pictures of any other photos she has. Just bring them all. His impatience finally boils over into a stark demand for a simple response. The next morning, sunlight streams into her room, and she jolts awake with a gasp, realizing with a sickening lurch that she's overslept. A wave of guilt washes over her. She should be helping her mother with the ancestral rites preparations. Throwing on an apron, she rushes into the kitchen, breathlessly apologizing for her tardiness. But it's not her mother she finds. It's Kwon Hyeon-jin, standing with his arms crossed, an imposing figure in his tailored suit. He coolly addresses her by her full name. Na-hwi freezes, stammering in disbelief that he's been waiting there the entire time. A faint, unnerving smile touches his lips as he notes that she seems fine, adding smoothly that he heard she'd hurt her hand while working. Na-hwi stared, her breath catching in her throat as Kwon Hyeon-jin coolly declared he'd been waiting for her the entire time. Trying to steer the conversation back to propriety, she forced a smile and asked if he had greeted the chairman yet. He dismissed the question with a simple no, adding that his grandfather was likely looking for him. But his focus remained entirely on her, his tone shifting from casual to demanding as he ordered her to give him the photo. Panic surged through her. She pushed against his chest, trying to force him toward the main building and away from her, pleading that he just go. Her mother's sharp reprimand only heightened the frantic energy between them. Outside, he finally released her, remarking on her strange behavior as if he were the reasonable one. But Na-hwi was done playing games. She held out her hand, demanding he return what he took. His expression turned cold as he taunted her, promising to give it back later. When she protested, he threatened to retrieve it from her room himself, a clear violation of her world. Defeated, she finally relented, storming off to get it for him. With a sigh of utter exhaustion, Na-hwi shoves the photographs into his hand, her voice tight with desperation as she tells him to just take them and go. But Hyeon-jin isn't so easily dismissed. His intense gaze softens as he looks at the pictures, a rare, almost tender smile gracing his lips as he notes that the one of her with short hair is recent. The fleeting moment of peace shatters when he offers her a small gift bag in return. Wary, she immediately refuses, stating that he doesn't have to give her things. His expression instantly hardens. He suggests, with chilling indifference, that she can just throw it away then. Stung by his casual cruelty, Na-hwi asks why he always has to say things in the worst way possible. He ignores her pain, instead commanding her to join him for dinner, but she's already turning away, her duty to her mother her only shield. As he finally leaves, he tosses one last order over his shoulder. She is to meet him on the morning of December 31st. Her bewildered question is met with a possessive, knowing smirk. He wasn't asking. He was informing her that she would be spending the day with him. Na-hwi's desperate protest that she was older was met with Hyeon-jin's infuriatingly calm agreement, his tone laced with condescension. Frustration finally boiling over, she thrust the expensive gift bag back towards him, accusing him of having completely lost his mind and demanding he take it back. But he simply ignored her, a dangerously charming smile playing on his lips as he announced his departure. Holding up his own phone, he issued a chillingly smooth command for her to pick up her calls, adding that he was serious and she knew the consequences if she didn't. Defeated, Na-hwi could only watch him go, knowing he meant every word. Later that night, in the privacy of her small room, she reluctantly opened the bag. Inside, 2 delicate clover necklaces lay nestled in velvet boxes, a stark symbol of a world she could never belong to. As she held one against her throat, her reflection felt like a stranger's. The piece was beautiful, but she knew with a hollow certainty that it didn't suit her at all. Her phone suddenly buzzed, a text from him asking when they should meet. A weary sigh escaped her. "Madam's throwing a fit again," she muttered, his suffocating presence reaching her even here. The whispers of the other housemaids followed Na-hwi long after she left the main house, questioning the young master's sudden appearance and his unsettling interest in her. Alone in her small, quiet room, she retreated under the covers, but sleep wouldn't come. She tossed and turned, clutching her phone as if it were both a lifeline and a curse. The screen suddenly lit up with a message from Hyeon-jin, his words a casual intrusion into her sanctuary. He asked if she was asleep, if he could call. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. A polite, accommodating reply began to form. A promise to be early for their forced meeting, but she deleted it with a frustrated sigh. It felt too much like a surrender. Instead, her fingers typed a blunt command for him not to call her. An image of his infuriating, knowing smirk flashed in her mind. Pulling the blanket tighter, she squeezed her eyes shut as a deep blush crept up her neck. A desperate, silent plea echoed in her heart. "Don't get any closer." He stood before her, a figure of coiled tension wrapped in an expensive coat, his expression a thundercloud of irritation. With a voice laced with biting sarcasm, he demanded to know if she called this morning. Na-hwi flinched, clutching a wrapped container to her chest like a shield. She offered it to him, her voice soft and placating as she explained it was turkey, a belated Christmas meal since his mother had mentioned he'd missed out. But Hyeon-jin wasn't interested in her peace offering. He slashed her off, his intense amber eyes narrowing as he zeroed in on his true obsession. He accused her of meeting Kim Chong-jin. The accusation hung in the air, sharp and ugly. As she struggled to respond, his frustration boiled over. He demanded to know why she hadn't answered his calls, why she'd ignored his texts. Na-hwi reminded him that she'd kept her side of their agreement, letting Christmas pass quietly. But he couldn't even keep his own promise. Defeated, she simply apologized. After a tense silence, he ordered her into the car. Once inside, he warned her not to even think about leaving. But instead of arguing, Na-hwi turned to him, her face lit by a sudden, brilliant smile. With unexpected warmth, she asked if he wanted to go to the Han River, leaving him utterly speechless. The biting wind whipped across the Han River, and Na-hwi couldn't help but shiver, letting out a small complaint about the cold. Hyeon-jin glanced back, a flicker of surprise in his intense gaze. He'd been certain she would ask to go back right away, yet here she was, riding a tandem bike with him as if this were the most normal thing in the world. A strange warmth bloomed in his chest as he saw a rare, genuine smile grace her lips. He found himself relieved to see her looking happy. Their conversation drifted to the future, and he asked about her target university. With unwavering confidence, she declared she was aiming for the best. A light laugh escaped her as she teased that the chairman would probably faint if she got in, especially since his own grandchildren had failed. But her tone shifted as she turned the questions on him, asking why he was studying architecture when it didn't seem to suit him at all. The gentle atmosphere fractured when she asked the one question that mattered. Was he never going back to England? His hand clenched tightly on the handlebar, the sudden tension a silent, sharp reply. The fragile truce shattered instantly. Hyeon-jin's voice, laced with raw accusation, slashed through the chilly air as he pedaled faster. He demanded to know if she truly wanted him to leave, reminding her that she was the one who pushed him to meet with Director Yoon in the first place. He declared that he'd followed her every command, enduring the grating reality of Seoul all for her sake. But his intense, escalating tirade was abruptly slashed short by an embarrassingly loud growl from his own stomach. The sudden, mundane sound hung between them, breaking his volatile momentum. Na-hwi, ever the pragmatist, simply turned her head and asked if he was hungry. Flustered, Hyeon-jin rejected her offer to find a proper restaurant, but she led him instead to a humble convenience store. He stared down at the steaming black noodles she presented, his aristocratic confusion absolute. With a rare, warm smile, she called it a feast for the Han River. "Just try it once," she urged gently at their small plastic table. But his pride was a fortress. "I said no," he repeated, the vast gulf between their worlds contained in a single styrofoam bowl. "Just one bite," Na-hwi urged, her voice soft as she held the chopstick steady. The humble offering of noodles felt like a peace treaty extended across the vast canyon of their social divide. "Hyeon-jin, please." He sat stiffly, a fortress of chaebol pride, but her earnest gaze was a patient siege he couldn't withstand. With a reluctant sigh, he finally leaned forward, allowing her to feed him. A flicker of genuine surprise crossed his face as he ate. Instead of admitting he enjoyed it, his golden brown eyes narrowed with sudden concern. "Did you starve today?" he asked, his tone sharp. Her quiet confirmation that she hadn't eaten a single meal seemed to stun him. Realization dawned on Na-hwi with a guilty pang. He had been waiting all this time, starving right along with her. Silently, she added a boiled egg to his bowl, a gesture that made his breath catch. A long-forgotten memory surfaced in his eyes before he let out a soft sigh. Finally picking up the egg and eating it without another word of protest, a silent truce under the winter sky. The city lights of Seoul glittered across the Han River, a vibrant jewel against the deep indigo sky. Na-hwi gazed at the spectacle, a soft smile touching her lips as she remarked on how pretty it was. The brief, peaceful silence was broken when she turned to him, her curiosity piqued. She asked him where he'd stayed in England, and his answer was a simple, clipped word: London. Admitting she'd never been, she offered a genuine, warm smile that seemed to momentarily close the vast distance between them, adding that she thought Seoul was really nice, too. Hyeon-jin's intense gaze lingered on her profile. He didn't speak of London, but of a philosophy his grandfather often repeated, that heaven can become a heck, and you can live in heck as if it were heaven. It was all about one's mindset. He spoke of the formidable chairman Kwon, not as a titan of industry, but as a normal, nagging old man. His voice then dropped, laced with a vulnerability she'd never witnessed. He confessed his grandfather's deepest fear, that because he had no parents, he would be looked down upon as ill-bred and lose his spirit. Attempting to lighten the heavy atmosphere, Na-hwi shared a simple piece of wisdom she'd heard from the chairman: to only keep the good things and get rid of the bad. She gently teased him, calling him a grown-up, trying to soothe the raw vulnerability he'd just shown her. But the effect was jarring. Hyeon-jin's demeanor shifted in an instant, his expression turning sharp and intense as he called her full name. With a low, deliberate voice, he announced that she was 20 now. The statement hung in the air, a finish line he had clearly been waiting to cross. It suddenly clicked for Na-hwi why he'd been checking the time all day. As she asked if it was already midnight, a triumphant, almost victorious grin spread across his face, his heart pounding in his chest. He abruptly stood and told her to wait right there for a minute. Before she could process his words, he strode off into the darkness, leaving her calling after him in confusion. Left alone, a nervous laugh escaped her as she paced. A sudden sound made her turn, and her eyes widened in disbelief. "What is that?" she whispered, stunned by the sight before her. Her whispered question hung in the cold air, answered by the sight of a bright-eyed young man with striking blue hair rushing toward them. He called out Hyeon-jin's name with a startling lack of formality, earning an instant scowl from the chaebol air. Before Hyeon-jin could react, the newcomer's attention shifted entirely to Na-hwi, a fond memory of her joyful laughter seeming to play across his mind. Hyeon-jin's voice slashed through the moment, laced with a familiar cynicism as he observed that she had grown up, even drinking now. Ignoring him completely, the young man approached Na-hwi with earnest concern. He told her not to be sad, pressing honey water and candy into her hands. Before she could even form a response, he gently draped a thick, warm scarf around her neck, his touch careful. He called her Nuna, his gaze soft as he pressed the warm can to her cheek, leaving her utterly speechless. As Na-hwi tried to protest, Hyeon-jin's fingers easily brushed hers aside, popping the tab on the can with a sharp, definitive click. He dismissed her concern with a single glance, telling her to drink it. Surprised by the unexpected gesture, she accepted it with a quiet thank you. Seeing her shiver in the cold, he suggested they walk. The fragile peace was broken when she addressed him formally as Kwon Hyeon-jin. He stopped her, a flicker of something intense in his eyes, demanding she call him what she used to. Her confusion was met with a low, teasing smile as he leaned closer. "Nuna," he murmured, the single word hanging between them, charged with a new weight. He pressed on, asking if she seriously liked it, if this was her type. Flustered, she admitted that from him, it felt weird. The vulnerability was all he needed. "Na-hwi," he asked suddenly. "What's your ideal type?" Her answer, a country policeman, was so simple, so far from his world, it left him momentarily speechless. With a bright, innocent smile, Na-hwi painted a picture of her ideal man. A simple country policeman who would rush to help the elderly. It was a dream so pure, so far removed from the complex man standing beside her. Hyun-jin's expression hardened. He flatly denied understanding her, then slashed deep by declaring her taste was simply awful. When she retorted that he was the furthest thing from her type, he seized her arm, a flicker of annoyance in his intense gaze. She tried to pull away, accusing him of being forceful, but he just called her an idiot and gestured down at her feet. Her shoelace was completely undone. Before she could react, the proud chaebol heir dropped to one knee on the public walkway. Mortified, Na-hwi could only stare as he began tying her shoe, roughly pushing her head down when she squirmed and ignoring her frantic whispers about the onlookers. With Hyun-jin still kneeling before her, Na-hwi's voice is soft, but firm as she tells him he's truly not her ideal type. A shadow of resignation passes over his face as he quietly agrees, knowing it's true. But then, a blush creeps onto her cheeks as she continues, her gaze softening. She admits that, despite everything, he is really handsome. The unexpected compliment lands like a shockwave, leaving him momentarily speechless. The fragile moment is shattered by the murmurs of onlookers wondering aloud if she's intoxicated. Snapped back to reality, Hyun-jin abruptly stands and snatches the beer can from her hand, his expression turning stern. He points to her flushed face as undeniable proof, ignoring her indignant protests that she isn't intoxicated at all. Without another word, he decisively pours the rest of the beer into a storm drain, announcing that it's time to go home and he's taking her. Still reeling from his abrupt declaration, Na-hwi pointed toward the glittering skyline. She exclaimed that his house was right there in Hanam-dong, her voice filled with a tipsy wonder. Hyun-jin coolly affirmed his plan to sleep there, but then casually added that it was her house, too. The implication hung in the air, and Na-hwi's cheeks puffed out in annoyance, accusing him of bragging. Just as she started to rise, he gently but firmly caught her wrist, pulling her back onto the bench. He explained that her shoelace was coming undone again and she was going to fall. Before she could protest, he knelt in front of her once more. Looking up with a faint smirk, he teased that she was a lot of work today. Annoyed, she told him not to bother if it was so much trouble, but he simply dismissed her complaints, calling her cute and telling her to just bear with it. As he finished, a low hum filled the air, and Na-hwi's gaze fired upward in awe as the entire sky exploded in a brilliant, breathtaking fireworks display. Lost in the afterglow of the fireworks, Na-hwi whispered that it was so pretty. Beside her, Hyun-jin could only agree, his voice a low murmur. The energy that had fueled his earlier arrogance seemed to drain away, and he slumped forward, his head bowed. Tentatively, she reached out, her hand gently touching his hair as she called his name. He gave a soft yes, inviting her to speak. With a heavy heart, she asked if he ever missed his parents. His answer was brutally logical. How could he miss people he had never met? But when she pressed, asking if he ever felt lonely, he seemed genuinely confused, admitting he didn't even understand the concept. As she softly defined loneliness, bearing untold pain all by yourself, he knelt before her. His voice was barely audible as he confessed he had never once had a home, moved more than 10 times before ending up in the chairman's desolate mansion. As the fireworks painted the night sky, a darker memory surfaced for Na-hwi. She saw her mother clutching her and her brother, Chon-hee, while the door to their cramped room shook violently. Her father's voice echoed with terrifying threats, lies that their mother had abandoned them, promises to bring them harm. That cold, tiny house was the reason for her quiet, unyielding ambition. When Hyun-jin questioned her dream of studying architecture, she declared it was the only path that made sense. She turned the question back on him, asking about his own dream. He answered with a single, devastating word, Dad. Not to inherit a company, but to become a father himself. To have children and a wife, the family he never had. Overwhelmed by this raw confession, he leaned forward, resting his head on her shoulder. Whispering an apology, he gently took her face in his hands and pulled her into a quiet, desperate embrace, seeking a home he had only ever dreamed of. The raw vulnerability of their embrace shattered in an instant. Na-hwi froze, a gasp caught in her throat as Hyun-jin's lips brushed against the delicate skin of her neck. He pulled back just enough to see her wide, startled eyes, his own gaze intense as he demanded to know why she was resisting. He pressed closer, his grip tightening as he asked if she didn't like it. Flustered, Na-hwi stammered that they shouldn't, trying to create distance by reminding him that he was still a minor. A short, cynical laugh escaped him as he completely dismissed her excuse. He cornered her, his voice low and dangerous, demanding she admit the real reason. Was it truly his age, or did she simply not like him? Before she could form a response, he leaned in again, whispering that he wouldn't do anything strange. He'd only do what she did. Na-hwi. As he leaned in, Na-hwi turned her face away, a tremor in her voice as she confessed she didn't want to. The rejection seemed to pierce his armor. With a surprising vulnerability, Hyun-jin admitted this was his first time. The confession stunned her, but her shock only fueled his embarrassment. His face flushed a deep crimson as he snapped that it was his first time too. Darn it. The volatile anger melted away just as quickly, replaced by a raw plea. He promised he wouldn't do anything else, asking for just her lips. Overwhelmed, she gave a tiny nod of consent. The tender moment was hesitant, unbelievably gentle. But as he pulled back, the mood shifted yet again. He grumbled that this was her fault, his frustration boiling over before he captured her lips again in a demanding, possessive tender moment that left no room for doubt. The tender moment softened, but the intensity lingered in the air between them. Hyun-jin pulled back just enough to speak, his thumb gently caressing her flushed cheek as he murmured that this was all because of him. His voice then grew firmer, more desperate, as he pleaded for her to promise him something. Confused, Na-hwi could only stare as he leaned in close, his gaze pinning her in place while he commanded her to wait just 1 year. Her bewilderment was plain on her face as she asked what he even wanted her to promise. A chilling certainty settled in his amber eyes. He told her she had already promised that next year, on December 31st at midnight, they would be together. As she reeled, trying to recall such a moment, he leaned forward, sealing his words with a final, unwavering declaration. With a tender touch, Kwon Hyeon-jin gently cupped Na-hwi's face, his gaze earnest as he pleaded for her to just listen to him for once. He confessed his desperate devotion, admitting he felt like a dog, doing everything she told him to. A silent beat hung in the air, Na-hwi's thoughts a whirlwind, unvoiced. In those fleeting moments together, her heart truly did flutter. Butterflies erupted within her, a dizzying sensation, and he ignited a burgeoning longing she hadn't known she possessed for Kwon Hyeon-jin. February arrived, painting the modern Kwon mansion under a clear sky, but inside, a storm was brewing. The madam, back early from the country club, stormed into the kitchen, her voice sharp. "I told you not to boil broth in here. The smell is stinging my nose." Na-hwi's mother, holding the steaming pot, tried to explain about the disrupted golf game, but the madam slashed her off, irritated, demanding the broth be moved to Building B, complaining the smell was seeping into everything. "Yes," Na-hwi's mother meekly replied. Later, as they prepared tea, the other housemaids whispered, "The madam is so on edge these days." Na-hwi's mother sighed. "Tell me about it." Back in the tense atmosphere of the Kwon mansion's kitchen, Na-hwi rushed to help her mother with a heavy pot. Her mother sighed, confessing how nervous she gets whenever the madam calls for her these days. The other maids whispered that it was all because of the young master, whose recent, uncharacteristic attendance at family events had set everyone on edge. They gossiped about his painful past, how the chairman had once treated him as a mere entertainer, but now seemed to favor him as the eldest. Later, in their own small home, her mother handed her carefully packed side dishes and a letter for Hyun-jin's house. Na-hwi hesitated, admitting that going twice a week was too much. But her mother just smiled gently, reassuring her that the madam knew she was busy, a kind word that felt like an inescapable command. The madam's voice was deceptively sweet, a stark contrast to the chilling intensity in her eyes as she issued her decree. She told Na-hwi's mother that once the girl left, she shouldn't even stop by the neighborhood anymore. She needed to focus on school. It was an order wrapped in the guise of kindness, a promise not to call that felt more like a veiled threat. Na-hwi agreed quietly, but she could see the worry her mother tried so hard to hide. A wave of resolve washed over her. She had to fix this, to ease the burden on her mother's shoulders. As she stepped forward, a surprised gasp echoed from one of the housemates. A new voice, warm and friendly, slashed through the tension. A different young master had arrived, and another maid chided him playfully for always disappearing like the wind, his gentle presence a world away from the storm that was Hyeon-jin. A warm, genuine laugh escaped Na-hwi's mother as she beamed at the other young master. She praised him for growing so tall and handsome, and he returned the compliment with practiced ease, insisting she hadn't changed at all. Watching from a distance, Na-hwi observed the light, effortless exchange. The young man smiled, explaining he wasn't there to see the chairman. He'd only come to pick up some of her side dishes, admitting that he loved all of them. Visibly touched by the praise, her mother hurried to prepare some for him. The entire scene felt impossibly pleasant, a stark contrast to the world Na-hwi knew. But elsewhere, that other world was seething. Hyeon-jin's handsome features were twisted into a mask of cold fury. He saw her absence not as circumstance, but as a deliberate game. His thoughts narrowed into a single, venomous question directed at her. Was this fun? Was she playing? A dark energy fills the kitchen as Hyeon-jin corners Na-hwi, his eyes burning with intensity as he asks if she is toying with him. Visibly flustered, Na-hwi tries to shut him down, reminding him they cannot be seen talking in a place like this. Agreeing with a cool smirk, he says he will wait outside and turns to leave. Just as a wave of relief washes over her, he suddenly stops. In a swift movement, he pivots back around and closes the distance in a heartbeat, trapping her completely. The air crackles with tension as he looms over her. Hyeon-jin suddenly grabs Na-hwi's wrist, his grip firm. He towers over her, his voice a low growl as he accuses her of avoiding him for 2 long months. His frustration boils over as he reminds her that she was the one who initiated things between them. Flustered, Na-hwi insists it was a mistake made under the influence. But a knowing smirk plays on Hyeon-jin's lips. His mind flashes back to that night. A romantic haze of holding hands, a desperate embrace, and a moment of intense, shared connection. He lets out a dark chuckle, completely dismissing her flimsy defense. Hyeon-jin scoffs, ignoring her excuse about the alcohol. With a firm step forward, he pulls Na-hwi flush against him, his hand gently but possessively cradling the back of her neck. He leans in close, his voice a low whisper as he suggests they clear up any confusion right here and now, while they are both clear-headed. The space between them evaporates, filled with an electric heat as their faces hover just inches apart. Overwhelmed, Na-hwi pulls back slightly, her expression flustered. She insists she did everything for his sake in the past, but her words only wound him. A look of raw pain flashes across Hyeon-jin's face as he asks why she would say that when she knows exactly how he feels, leaving Na-hwi utterly speechless. Scrambling for a reason, Na-hwi explains she was busy with work and finding a new place to live. But hearing she wants to move out only agitates Hyeon-jin more, and he demands to know why she cannot simply reside with him. Flustered, she tries to apologize, promising she wasn't trifling with his heart. But his trust is shaken. His voice drops to a low, dangerous whisper, accusing her of ignoring his calls to give her attention to someone else. Cornered by his jealousy, Na-hwi grabs his arm, insisting she has only shared that level of emotional closeness with him. Her desperate words finally break through his anger, leaving a flicker of hope in his eyes. Hyeon-jin's grip on her arm tightens, his hope reignited. His mind flashes back to their night of connection, a hazy memory of her asking him to hold her, followed by a desperate, all-consuming embrace. Snapping back to the present, his voice is thick with unshed emotion as he lists every moment of affection they shared. He leans in close, his own vulnerability laid bare as he begs her to promise that she'll only ever share that kind of emotional bond with him. Overwhelmed by his raw feelings, Na-hwi quietly agrees, resigning herself to this path. A painful memory surfaces in Na-hwi's mind. The chairman, in a jovial mood, boasts about setting her up with a career and a match, essentially planning her entire life for her. While others saw it as a golden opportunity, Na-hwi only felt the weight of a cage. Snapping back to the present moment with Hyeon-jin, she draws a clear line, suggesting they only see each other once or twice a month. His face falls, completely baffled. She explains it's not about him, but about her dream to secure a home so her mother can finally rest. Hyeon-jin ignores her reasoning, his grip tightening on her hand as he reminds her of a vow they once made. A memory flashes back of a tender, yet passionate moment from their past, charged with all the feelings they couldn't express. They had sealed their pact back then with a promise, one he clearly never let go of. Back in the present, a heavy sigh escapes him. Instead of fighting her, he pulls her into a deep, possessive embrace, resting his chin on her head as he breathes out her name. He holds her tight, burying his face in her shoulder as if to inhale her very presence. While he agrees to her terms, he gives her a 1-year deadline. But inside, he's already struggling at the thought of seeing her just once every 2 weeks. Fast forward 10 months, and the scene shifts to a bright, modern living room. Na-hwi's younger brother stares at a laptop screen glowing with an acceptance letter to the prestigious university. Na-hwi sits beside him, absolutely beaming with pride as her brother casually chats on the phone. As her brother hangs up, Na-hwi explains that the man he was talking to now works for Hyeon-jin's company. Seated beside her on the couch, Hyeon-jin smoothly slides his arm around her, giving her all the credit for making the connection. But in an instant, the casual atmosphere vanishes. His hand settles on her leg as he leans in, closing the distance until their faces are just inches apart. The air grows thick with unspoken heat as he softly asks if she wants to go on a trip now. The entrance exams are finally over. With the room bathed in a soft, warm light, Kwon Hyeon-jin leans in close, his face just inches from Lee Na-hwi's. He softly suggests they go on a trip together, maybe somewhere warm like Bali, now that her schedule is free. The tension between them is electric as he holds her on the couch, his hand resting possessively on her waist. Flustered, Na-hwi calls him cunning, accusing him of only focusing on his desires. After a brief moment of denial, Hyeon-jin's expression shifts. He boldly admits it's true, declaring that is precisely why they need to go. Kwon Hyeon-jin leans in closer, his expression intense. He lists all her responsibilities, winter classes, and her part-time job, making a long trip seem impossible. His voice drops to a whisper as he pleads for just one night, revealing he's already created a cover story for her family. Before he can finish, Na-hwi silences him, pressing her hand firmly against his lips. With newfound resolve, she makes a surprising counteroffer, Hong Kong, and she insists she'll be the one to pay. Later, Na-hwi walks out of a health and beauty store, clutching a small box, her face flushed as she realizes the day has finally arrived. Lee Na-hwi's heart thumps in her chest as she thinks about how long Kwon Hyeon-jin has been holding himself back for her. At the same time, he wraps his arms around her, wrestling with his own internal struggle. He is holding back everything, from wanting to quit his studies to wanting more closeness, just for their future together. His frustration grows as he complains about their lack of normal couple activities. Suddenly, his jealousy flares, and he accuses her of looking at a police officer, leaving her stunned. He is agitated, remembering she once said her ideal type was a simple countryside man, everything he is not. Hyeon-jin clings to Na-hwi from behind, his frustration finally boiling over. He complains bitterly about how much he is restraining himself for their future, while she simply tells him to watch his language. Later, the day of their trip finally arrives. Na-hwi stands inside his sleek, modern apartment, clutching a beautiful bouquet of red roses he left for her. Hearing the sound of the water running, she realizes he is getting ready. The silence is heavy with anticipation as she waits, eventually deciding to eat a slice of pizza to calm her nerves. Na-hwi slowly opens her eyes, realizing she must have dozed off. As she sits up, she finds herself not on the couch, but in Hyeon-jin's bed, the city lights gleaming through the window. Before she can fully process the situation, a pair of strong arms wrap around her from behind. It's Hyeon-jin. He holds her tight against him, the heat from his body radiating through her clothes. Without a word, he leans in, his lips finding the delicate skin of her neck. Overwhelmed and blushing, she is gently pushed back onto the mattress. He towers over her, his eyes dark with an emotion she can't quite name. Lying beneath him, Na-hwi's mind races, wondering if this moment is truly happening. But Hyeon-jin has clearly lost all his restraint, his sarcastic question about playing cards barely hiding the raw longing in his eyes. He leans down and captures her lips in a kiss that feels both inevitable and overwhelming. Pulling back for just a breath, he whispers her name, his gaze asking for a deeper connection. After a moment of hesitation, she surrenders. He pulls her into a passionate, all-consuming embrace, the air crackling with 14 years of unspoken feelings. The atmosphere in the room grows heavy as Hyeon-jin loses himself completely, burying his face in the crook of Na-hwi's neck. His passion, however, hits a sudden roadblock when he struggles with the layers she is wearing. Giving up for a moment, he decides to discard his own shirt instead. Na-hwi's breath hitches in her throat as she takes in the sight of him. He leans back down, his voice a low whisper against her ear as he murmurs her name, his eyes full of years of pent-up longing. The air between them grows thick with unspoken feelings as Hyeon-jin leans over Na-hwi, his gaze intense. Hesitantly, she reaches out, her hand resting against the warmth of his chest. He gently takes her hand, guiding it lower as he whispers for her to feel him. Overwhelmed by the moment, Na-hwi's defenses finally crumble. Blushing deeply, she surrenders, telling him he can take the lead completely. A soft, vulnerable expression crosses Hyeon-jin's face as he quietly admits that he wants the same, making it clear that her acceptance is what he truly desires. In the warm glow of the penthouse, Na-hwi looks down, her hand hesitantly reaching for Hyeon-jin. With a soft blush on her cheeks, she gives him complete permission, telling him he can do as he wishes. Overcome with emotion, Hyeon-jin admits he wants that too. The atmosphere shifts, saturated in a purple haze of pure feeling as he pulls her into a deep embrace. Completely lost in her presence, he's overwhelmed by her beauty. As their emotional connection peaks, all he can do is breathe out her name, finally surrendering to his years of longing. The air grows heavy, charged with a deep purple glow as Hyeon-jin moves closer. The overwhelming heat of the moment finally hits Na-hwi, and she instinctively asks him to wait. Breathing hard, Hyeon-jin pauses, clearly fighting a battle for control that he is about to lose. He sees the tears welling in her eyes and gently tries to soothe her, telling her to relax. Overwhelmed by the raw intensity, Na-hwi admits she can't. Seeing his struggle, her own defenses crumble completely. With a quiet resolve, she gives in, telling him to proceed. The room is drenched in a purple haze as Hyeon-jin finally gives into years of pent-up longing. Na-hwi is completely overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment, a deep blush spreading across her face. But just as the emotional intimacy peaks, he suddenly pulls back, a look of confusion crossing his features. Equally bewildered, Na-hwi pushes at his chest. Embarrassed, she admits she's not normally like this, letting out a small, nervous laugh. A confident smile spreads across Hyeon-jin's face as he looks down at her, telling her they are just getting started. He leans in, his touch like an electric current against her skin. Though Na-hwi weakly protests, Hyeon-jin knows her flushed expression tells the real story. The entire room is drenched in a deep purple haze as all her resistance melts away into pure sensation. Completely overwhelmed, the only thing she can do is breathe out his name. After the peak of their shared connection, he pulls her into another embrace. Na-hwi is left breathless and shocked by his seemingly endless passion, but his calm expression shows he is far from finished with her. Drenched in the room's deep purple glow, Hyeon-jin pulls her close once more. Still breathless, Na-hwi tries to push him away, telling him to wait. But her words are weak, her hands lacking any real force as he completely ignores her faint protests. He leans in, his touch a slow, deliberate tease along her skin that makes her gasp. Her resistance completely melts away, leaving her overwhelmed by the sheer heat of the moment. With a confident smirk, he finally pulls back slightly, asking her how it is, already knowing the answer. Leaning in, Hyeon-jin whispers in her ear, his hand gently covering her mouth. Na-hwi's face flushes a deep red, her protests lost in the heat of the moment. Just then, a phone buzzes on the nightstand, shattering the charged atmosphere. Before she can grab it, Hyeon-jin snatches it away. His playful expression instantly hardens into a cold glare as he reads the screen. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he asks about someone named Doyen. The friendly New Year's messages only fuel his possessive anger, turning the mood ice cold. With Na-hwi's phone in his hand, Hyeon-jin's jealousy spirals completely out of control. He questions her about tutoring this Doyen guy, his voice laced with childish envy. Na-hwi tries to explain it was just an innocent study session, but he isn't listening. His eyes are glued to the screen, his anger growing with every message. He reads that she offered to buy the boy a drink, his grip tightening on the phone. Panicked, Na-hwi tries to defend Doyen as a good kid, but that only fuels Hyeon-jin's possessive rage. She tries to escape the suffocating tension, but he slams his hand against the doorframe, blocking her path. He looms over her, his expression dark, demanding to know why she is retreating. Still trapped against the wall, Na-hwi listens as Hyeon-jin suggests a simple solution: just tell everyone about them. He even offers to buy her brother a meal and get him an admissions coach. Horrified, Na-hwi explains that her family can't keep secrets, but he doesn't care. He paces for a second before turning back, ordering her to tell Doyen she has a partner. She insists the boy is just a friend, but Hyeon-jin explodes with frustration, yelling that it's obvious the kid likes her. Overwhelmed, Na-hwi tries to escape to the washroom, but he just clenches his jaw, blocking her path. Na-hwi pleads with him to just leave, her hand weakly pushing against his chest, but he grabs her arm, his grip unyielding, holding her there. The air between them thickens, heavy with years of unspoken feelings. Frustration boils over in him, and he finally breaks. Burying his face in the crook of her neck, his voice cracks with raw vulnerability. He confesses that even from afar, he could only ever speak to her when she allowed it. His 14 years of agonizing longing finally spilling out into the suffocating silence of the room. In the heat of the moment, Hyeon-jin holds Na-hwi close, his voice a low rumble of 14 years of frustration. He confesses how he waited, his mind constantly consumed by her even as she kept him at a distance. Na-hwi is stunned, his raw obsession laid bare before her. But the atmosphere shifts as his jealousy boils over. He lifts his head, his eyes blazing with a possessive fire. He questions why she gets to live freely while he feels trapped, pulling her even closer and admitting this maddening feeling is driving him to the brink. In the steamy heat of the bathroom, Na-hwi's pleas fall on deaf ears. She begs Hyeon-jin to stop, but he only pulls her closer, taunting her about her brother. The overwhelming intensity of the moment sends a shock through her system, leaving her wide-eyed and breathless. Tears well up in her eyes as he whispers her name, ignoring her protests. When he finally asks why she's crying, his tone is almost detached. Na-hwi declares this will never happen again, but he simply scoffs, sealing his promise with another possessive kiss. The lingering kiss leaves Na-hwi breathless. Back in the steamy bathroom, Hyeon-jin just smirks at her denial, his earlier anger replaced by a playful dominance. He pulls her close, commanding her to lift her arms as he draws her into a warm embrace. The world around them seems to dissolve into a hazy, bubbly dream. Overwhelmed by the emotional intimacy and his intoxicating scent, Na-hwi's resistance begins to fade. Later, the mood shifts. Driving through the city at night, Hyeon-jin suddenly breaks the silence, asking her if she wants to go to Busan. The question hangs in the air, leaving Na-hwi completely stunned. Inside the dimly lit car, Hyeon-jin explains his logic for suggesting Busan, noting her dislike for faraway places and her busy schedule. Seeing no way out of a short weekend trip, Na-hwi reluctantly agrees. But as he drops her off, the moment she tries to leave, he stops her. Leaning across the console, he demands a goodbye kiss. Too exhausted to argue, Na-hwi unbuckles her seatbelt in tired resignation. The space between them vanishes as he moves in, not for a simple peck, but for a moment of intense closeness. He whispers how he can't see her until Saturday, his voice thick with frustration. Na-hwi weakly protests that they're outside, but her words are lost as he completely ignores her plea, consumed by his need to keep her close for just a moment longer. His hand gently moves her hair aside as he leans in, his voice a low whisper, asking why she isn't wearing the necklace he gave her. Flustered, Na-hwi explains it's just too flashy. The air in the car grows thick with a sudden, intense heat. Instead of getting angry, he closes the remaining space between them. His fingers gently trace her jawline as he whispers about how soft her skin is. He praises her, his words weaving a spell that leaves her breathless. Then, with a playful poke to her cheek, he suddenly pulls back, telling her he'll see her Saturday. Just as she breathes a sigh of relief and opens the door to leave, his voice cuts through the night, stopping her dead in her tracks. His voice stops her. Looking back, she sees him leaning comfortably in the driver's seat with a confident smile. He changes their plans on a whim, telling her he'll pick her up Friday night instead. He adds one last command, to call him when she gets inside. Once the door to her small apartment is closed, the reality of the trip to Busan settles in. Her mind races, trying to rearrange her packed schedule of classes and tutoring. But as she glances at her calendar, a heavy realization hits her. Her mom's birthday is also this month. Back in her apartment, her friends' encouraging words echo in her mind, praising her for juggling so many assignments and a part-time job. But the praise feels hollow. Weighed down by exhaustion, she drops her tablet on the dresser. A wave of anxiety washes over her as she thinks about her future. Just then, her phone lights up. It's a text from Hyeon-jin. She clutches the phone to her chest as his messages appear, checking if she's home and telling her to rest. His unexpected gentleness catches her off guard, triggering a soft, warm memory of a surprisingly tender moment. A deep blush creeps up her face as she buries her nose in her jacket, realizing his scent still lingers on her from the car. While on the phone with her mother, Na-hwi listens to the latest news from the Kwon household. It seems the old chairman has had a complete change in personality, suddenly attending all sorts of family events and meetings he used to avoid. Her mom explains that it's all because he wants to proudly show off his grandson, Hyeon-jin. This new favoritism is causing a stir, especially with the madam, who is burning with envy. Na-hwi tries to change the subject to her mom's birthday, but is told to just meet at the main house. As Na-hwi hangs up the phone with her mom, she heads out of her apartment, but stops dead in her tracks. Kwon Hyeon-jin is already there, waiting by his car. He immediately confronts her, asking if she finished her assignment. Without waiting for an answer, he takes her bag from her, his expression turning sharp as he brings up how she dismissed him the night before. Inside the car, the tension is thick. As she buckles her seatbelt, her phone suddenly buzzes with a new notification, a news article sent by her brother. Na-hwi stares at her phone, her world tilting on its axis. The news article her brother sent is a bombshell. Chairman Kwon has gifted Hyeon-jin an insane amount of company shares, officially anointing him as the next heir. But a second message from her brother hits even harder, a rumor that Hyeon-jin is set to be engaged to the granddaughter of Hansung Electronics. Just as the news sinks in, the car suddenly feels much smaller. Hyeon-jin leans across the passenger seat, his presence overwhelming. Flustered, Na-hwi fumbles with her seatbelt, unable to click it in place. Seeing her struggle, he leans in even closer, the atmosphere crackling with heat as his hand gently covers hers, guiding the buckle home. As the car waits at a red light, Hyeon-jin breaks the tense silence. His gaze is fixed on the necklace he gave her. He leans closer, his fingers gently brushing her hair back as he compliments her. His expression then shifts, questioning why she's only wearing the necklace. Grabbing her delicate wrist, he notices how thin she feels, a flicker of concern in his eyes. She explains the matching bracelet was too loose. He tells her to open the glove compartment, then swiftly fastens the now adjusted bracelet onto her wrist, leaving her stunned as he starts driving again. Just when she's processing the bracelet, Hyeon-jin drops another surprise right into her lap, a small, dark blue jewelry box. Before Na-hwi can even question it, he holds up his own hand, revealing a sleek, matching silver ring on his finger. He seems frustrated that she hadn't noticed it sooner, urging her to open the box. Hesitantly, she clicks it open. Inside sits a stunning, diamond-studded ring. He explains he wanted something eye-catching just for her. As his soft compliment hangs in the air, the car pulls into a bright, sun-drenched parking lot by the sea. Hyeon-jin gently takes her hand, admiring how the new ring looks on her slender fingers before pressing a soft, reverent kiss to her knuckles. He pulls her into a close side embrace, his lips brushing against her cheek as he tells her how pretty she looks. Flustered, Na-hwi worries about losing it, but he casually dismisses her concern. Once parked, he gets out and holds her door open, his tone turning possessive as he orders her never to take the ring off. Tossing the empty box aside, he takes her hand with a brilliant smile and leads her onto the sunny seaside boardwalk. As they stroll along the boardwalk, hand in hand, Hyeon-jin suddenly asks why she skipped her university orientation. Before she can really answer, his phone buzzes, interrupting them. It's his chief secretary. Without letting go of her hand, Hyeon-jin answers and drops a bombshell, telling the caller he's with his girlfriend. Na-hwi's world stops cold. Her eyes widen in shock as his casual claim hangs in the air. He finishes the call, squeezes her hand, and calmly walks off to buy tickets. leaving her stunned on a nearby bench. Left alone on the bench, Na-hwi's mind is spinning. This is all happening way too fast, and a wave of fear washes over her as she nervously fiddles with the new ring on her finger. A sudden camera click snaps her out of her thoughts. She looks up to see Hyeon-jin standing a few feet away, a warm, genuine smile on his face as he lowers his phone. He had just taken her picture. Gazing at her, he tells her she looks incredibly pretty at that moment, leaving her completely stunned and unable to respond. Flustered by his compliments, Na-hwi finally gathers her courage, her hands fidgeting nervously in her lap. Looking at the expensive ring on her finger, she begins to speak, trying to find the right words to explain her feelings. Hyeon-jin's expression is soft and content as he listens, but the mood shifts in an instant. Na-hwi looks down, explaining that the ring just doesn't feel right on her hand. At her words, the gentle smile completely disappears from Hyeon-jin's face. His warm eyes turn cold and sharp, his gaze fixing on her with a sudden intensity. Sitting on the park bench, Na-hwi nervously fiddles with the silver band on her finger. She hesitantly tells Hyeon-jin that the ring just doesn't feel right. His expression is unreadable for a moment before he stands up, towering over her. He dismissively says they can resize it and that she'll get used to the weight of it soon enough. As he begins to walk away, Na-hwi calls out his name. In a small voice, she asks if they can change it for something simpler, something that won't stand out at all. Hyeon-jin's patience finally breaks. Frustrated, he asks what she wants him to do. Just discard it? He plucks the ring from her finger. A cold, bitter laugh escapes him as he looks down, telling her she has a real knack for making people feel awful. Before Na-hwi can even react, he turns and, without a second of hesitation, flings the expensive ring into the water. It skips once before sinking out of sight. Then, he grabs her wrist firmly, pulling her forward as if nothing just happened. Stunned, Na-hwi calls out Hyeon-jin's name, but he just tells her to pretend it never happened. Flustered, she quickly apologizes, trying to stop the fight before it can even start. But Hyeon-jin isn't fighting. With his back still turned, he calmly says he doesn't want to argue and starts walking again, changing the subject to dinner plans as if he didn't just throw a fortune into the sea. His sudden calmness is more unnerving than his usual anger. He suddenly stops, and Na-hwi shyly admits she's cold. A gentle smile appears on her face as she wraps her arms around his. As they walk along the path, Na-hwi clings to Hyeon-jin's arm, relieved that his anger seems to have passed. She happily brings up a snack bar she remembers, suggesting they grab some fish cake croquettes. He calmly agrees, but the peace is shattered when Hyeon-jin suddenly stops walking. The casual warmth in his eyes is gone, replaced by a cold intensity. He realizes she's been to Busan before. His voice drops, demanding to know when she came and who she came with. After a hesitant pause, she mentions coming with Jile, and a chilling smirk twists Hyeon-jin's lips. His jealousy latches onto a new name, Kim Chong-jin. Na-hwi looks flustered, blurting out that he couldn't come because his puppy was sick. The slip-up confirms Hyeon-jin's worst fears. This was supposed to be a trip with another man. She desperately tries to downplay it, saying she kept it a secret because he was busy studying. But the mood is completely ruined. His voice drops, full of disappointment. He had picked this place specifically so they could share a first experience together. Now, he feels like he's just tracing the steps of her past. Hurt by the revelation, Hyeon-jin flatly tells Na-hwi he's not going and that she can go by herself. He turns to walk away down the stone path, but then stops in his tracks. Desperate to salvage the moment, Na-hwi rushes forward and wraps her arms around him from behind, pressing her face into his broad back. She reminds him that they promised to go everywhere together. The air grows heavy with a palpable heat. After a tense silence, he turns to face her, his expression unreadable as he takes her hand. He gives a cryptic warning, telling her to get as much sleep as she can now. Utterly bewildered, Na-hwi is pulled along, the atmosphere charged with a thrilling intensity. He looks back at her over his shoulder with a sly smirk, telling her she won't be getting any sleep once they get to the hotel. Na-hwi's face flushes, her eyes wide with shock. Later that night, the air in their lavish hotel suite is thick with romantic tension. Hyeon-jin holds her close on the couch, the city lights twinkling behind them. As the heat between them becomes almost unbearable, Na-hwi blurts out that it is a delicate time of the month for her. But Hyeon-jin's expression only darkens with a new intensity. He pulls her even closer and whispers, suggesting that could mean they might start a family. Hyeon-jin's words hang in the air, a shocking suggestion about a future that leaves Na-hwi reeling. She immediately shuts him down, her voice firm as she declares that will never happen. But her rejection only seems to ignite something in him. He closes the distance in an instant, whispering for her to look at him and forget everything else. The raw intimacy of the moment overwhelms her, and her protests fade. A smirk plays on his lips as he lifts her effortlessly into his arms, her legs wrapping around him as he carries her deeper into the room. He gently places her on the soft bed. Completely overwhelmed, Na-hwi buries her flushed face in the pillows, her mind racing. Gazing down at her, Hyeon-jin looks like a man who has finally found his most precious treasure, his eyes filled with an adoration that's been building for 14 years. The atmosphere grows heavy, crackling with an unspoken heat that suffocates her faint protests. As he moves over her, his presence is an intoxicating wave, and her world narrows to just him. The line between passion and his dark obsession blurs completely in the purple haze. Lying on the bed, Na-hwi's faint protests get lost in the overwhelming heat of the room. Hyeon-jin's shadow falls over her, his presence pinning her down more than his strength ever could. The air crackles with a dizzying mix of anxiety and an intoxicating pull. Just as her confusion peaks, his intensity suddenly softens. He gently pulls her into an embrace from behind, his touch turning from possessive to impossibly tender. He whispers her name, calling her his pretty baby, his voice laced with 14 years of raw, obsessive adoration. Lying beside her in the purple haze of the room, Hyeon-jin's voice is a soft murmur against her ear. He gently admits that he stopped everything the moment he saw her start to cry. Na-hwi is left completely speechless, a single tear still visible on her cheek as she processes his unexpected tenderness. He clicks on a lamp, flooding the space with a soft light and breaking the intense mood. Propping himself up on one elbow, he gazes down at her with a lazy, confident smirk, clearly enjoying her flustered state, before his teasing turns more direct. Hyeon-jin leans back against the pillows, his robe falling open as he playfully offers to show her something. Na-hwi, sitting beside him, tries to play it cool, but he sees right through her. With a knowing smirk, he points out that even though she denies being curious, she can't seem to tear her eyes away from him. As she fumbles for a response, the air crackles with tension. He moves in closer, his presence overwhelming her defenses. Then, in one swift motion, he pulls her down, completely flipping their positions. Stunned, Na-hwi finds herself on top of him, calling him crazy. Lying back with a flushed, satisfied smile, Hyeon-jin lets his robe fall open. The atmosphere in the room grows incredibly heavy, thick with a palpable heat as he guides Na-hwi's movements with nothing but his voice. Her cheeks burn and her eyes go wide, caught between shock and confusion as he murmurs possessive praises. He stares up at her with an intense gaze, completely lost in the moment. The unspoken desire is almost suffocating, leaving a flustered Na-hwi trapped by his overwhelming presence, unsure of what to do next. His face is flushed, his eyes hazy with emotion as he gazes up at Na-hwi. The purple light of the room makes the air feel thick and heavy. With a soft, low voice, he begins asking intimate questions, completely shattering her defenses. Lying back, he watches her every reaction with a possessive intensity. Na-hwi is frozen above him, her cheeks burning as she weakly whispers his name. She's completely overwhelmed by the sudden wave of intimacy and the raw heat in his eyes, unable to think straight as he pulls her deeper into his world. The atmosphere in the room grows thick with unspoken feelings. Lying back, Hyeon-jin's breath hitches, his face flushed with an intense heat. Lost in the moment, he whispers Na-hwi's name, urging her to hold on even tighter. Na-hwi is completely frozen, feeling his heart hammer against her palm like a trapped bird. He gently cups her cheek, his touch sending a shock through her. Closing the last bit of distance, he tangles his hand in her hair, pulling her close and breathing her name with a desperate, all-consuming longing. Hyeon-jin pulls her closer, his breath warm against her neck as he whispers that the real thing is so much better than his memories. A deep blush creeps across Na-hwi's cheeks, flustered by his blunt honesty. With a confident smirk, he leans over her, admitting he has no intention of hiding his feelings anymore. He calls her name softly, fully embracing his possessive side, and pulls her into a tight hug, content just to hold her. The intimate moment then fades, cutting to a bright, modern cafe overlooking the ocean. At a bright seaside cafe, Hyeon-jin leans in close, playfully accusing Na-hwi of being jealous. Flustered, She denies it and quickly changes the subject by bringing up her mom. After a moment of confusion, Hyeon-jin pivots, casually suggesting that her mother could run a cafe just like this one when she retires. He explains it would be a beautiful place for her mother to live, but his real reason is so that Na-hwi would finally feel at ease. Na-hwi offers a weary smile, pointing out the impossible cost. But Hyeon-jin's gaze turns serious as he simply says her name, making it clear this isn't a mere suggestion. Hyeon-jin's gaze is unwavering as he holds his iced coffee, insisting she knows exactly what he means. He brushes off her concerns, suggesting a restaurant instead. Na-hwi quickly dismisses the idea, claiming her mom has no interest in such things. Unfazed, he asks if she's even bothered to check. He then casually throws out other options, like a hotel or a golf course, as if he's talking about buying groceries. He tells her to just ask what her mom wants. Taking a sip of her drink, Na-hwi is completely floored, wondering if he really dragged her all this way just for this. Hyeon-jin's expression grows serious, firmly telling her to ask her mother. He adds a chilling ultimatum that hangs over a shot of the vast ocean. If she doesn't do it, he'll go ask her himself. The scene jumps forward 2 weeks. Na-hwi is at her desk, trying to focus, but his frustration echoes in her mind about how difficult it is just to see her. While she's on a phone call with a friend, her doorbell suddenly rings. Looking down at her phone, she's completely stunned by how fast he is. He's already here. Stepping into her apartment for the first time, Hyeon-jin immediately takes over the small space. He gestures for her to sit on the bed, claiming her desk chair looks too small for him. The air grows thick with unspoken tension as he leans in close, taking in her scent and whispering that the room smells just like her. Making himself at home on her bed, he looks around with genuine wonder. He calls her cramped room perfect, casually suggesting that they can now stay over at each other's places, completely fascinated just to be in her world. Na-hwi squirms at her desk, embarrassed as Hyeon-jin praises her cozy little room. But his simple fascination quickly turns into a series of strange demands. He asks for her blanket, her pillow, and even her mattress. Before she can fully process his words, he's already lying down on her bed, tapping his feet and claiming the space as his own. He closes his eyes, completely content, lost in the thought of living in a place that smells just like her. Sighing, she gives in, telling him to rest. But he's not finished. His gaze turns serious as he makes his ultimate demand. He wants her, too. Stunned by his demand, Na-hwi musters an awkward, tight-lipped smile. She tries to dismiss his intensity, thinking to herself that he's just being cheesy again, playing his usual games. But as she looks down at him, the playful energy in the room completely vanishes. Lying comfortably on her pillow, Hyeon-jin's gaze turns incredibly serious. The air grows thick and heavy with unspoken emotion as he looks right at her and drops an absolute bombshell. "Let's get married." The words hang between them, his intense expression showing he means every single one. Lying in bed, Kwon Hyeon-jin's eyes open with a sleepy intensity. He looks towards Na-hwi and says with startling clarity, "Let's get married." Na-hwi freezes at her desk, utterly stunned by the sudden proposal. He continues, suggesting they marry soon and do their master's degrees together. She dismisses it as a joke, reminding him they haven't even graduated, but his expression remains serious. He rises from the bed, his voice growing more intense as he asks how much longer he must wait, his patience wearing thin. Kwon Hyeon-jin closes the distance, his voice laced with impatience as he argues they should marry quickly. He knows she worries about her studies, but he promises to support her completely. The intensity of the moment is shattered when Na-hwi's phone buzzes on the desk. His expression darkens instantly. "Don't answer," he commands, lunging forward and seizing the device before she can reach it. He glares at the screen, recognizing the caller as the same persistent man from before who kept demanding she buy him drinks. Na-hwi stares, speechless at his sudden, possessive outburst. A possessive smirk plays on Kwon Hyeon-jin's lips as he holds Na-hwi's phone just out of her reach. He reminds her that he knew this caller harbored feelings for her, his voice laced with smug jealousy. Flustered, Na-hwi argues back, insisting she deserves her privacy, but he scoffs at the idea. The playful tension vanishes, replaced by a sudden chill. His expression hardens, his eyes boring into hers with a cold intensity. He demands to know his place in her life, questioning if he comes dead last after her family, friends, and school. The air grows thick as Na-hwi turns in her chair. She tells Kwon Hyeon-jin his behavior isn't simple curiosity, it's anxiety because he doesn't trust her. His composure shatters in an instant. "Yes, I am anxious," he admits, his voice filled with raw desperation. He leans over her, his presence overwhelming the space as he insists marriage is the only way to stop the fighting. Na-hwi's shoulders slump. "I am drained by this," she whispers, confessing that even dating feels overwhelming. How could she ever think about something as final as marriage? Without another word, Kwon Hyeon-jin turns and leaves, the click of the door echoing the finality of their conversation. Na-hwi freezes, stunned, the thought flashing through her mind that this might be the last time she ever sees him. Later, she tries to convince herself at her desk that this is for the best. They never even officially started dating. But a memory of his heartbroken expression surfaces, overwhelming her logic. In an instant, she jolts up from her chair, her hands slamming on the desk as she sprints from the room, chasing after him. Na-hwi races through the sterile parking garage, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She finds his car and knocks on the window, calling out for Kwon Hyeon-jin, but it's empty. He's gone. Defeated, she walks away, the heavy truth settling in. She was a coward, too scared to be honest, and hurt him to protect herself. She figures he must be just as exhausted with it all as she is. Just then, she turns. He stands there, watching her. A soft, breathless Hyeon-ji escapes her lips. He's huddled on the cold, concrete stairs, a portrait of exhaustion. Na-hwi approaches cautiously, whispering his name. Kwon Hyeon-jin looks up, his gaze heavy. He pleads with her, asking her not to say that being together is overwhelming or hard. His hand gently closes around her wrist, a warm current against her skin. "I won't burden you anymore," he says, his voice thick with emotion, promising not to make things difficult. He looks at her, his heart in his eyes, and confesses, "You're everything to me. Lee Na-hwi, just you." A soft flush spreads across her cheeks. Na-hwi's resolve solidifies in a quiet embrace. She thinks to herself that even if she leaves his side someday, it won't be today. Later, she tries to focus on her work, but Kwon Hyeon-jin's presence fills the room. He leans over her shoulder, his voice a low whisper as he teases her. A knowing smirk plays on his lips as he sees the color creep up her neck. Resting his hand on her shoulder, he asks if she was thinking something strange, his gaze intense as he softly speaks her name. Kwon Hyeon-jin leans over Na-hwi's shoulder, his voice a low murmur as he asks if she was thinking something peculiar. The question hangs in the air, unanswered. Suddenly, he pulls her from her chair in one fluid motion. Na-hwi lets out a startled gasp, questioning his intent as he settles her directly onto his lap. The tension between them is immediate and overwhelming. With an intense gaze, he asks if he should bring her relief. Flustered, Na-hwi quickly insists she's fine, but her protest is breathless. Kwon Hyeon-jin's voice is a low murmur against her ear as he points out how affected she already is by his presence. A deep warmth spreads across Na-hwi's cheeks. He tells her that if she wants to be with him, she needs to feel much more than this. Suddenly, he shifts their position, and a startled gasp escapes her lips. He looks down at her with a knowing smirk, his arms holding her close. He asks, "Na-hwi, where is your hidden comfort?" Utterly bewildered, she just repeats the phrase. "Yeah," he confirms, "the one you turn to when you're alone." Held close in his arms, Na-hwi stammers that she doesn't have such a thing. Kwon Hyeon-jin simply questions if that's really true, a confident smirk playing on his lips. He leans in, his voice a low murmur as he tells her how right this feels. He promises that from now on, the mere sight of his touch will be enough to make her senses ignite. After that day, things shift. Na-hwi is on the phone, telling a friend about an academic club workshop, but her thoughts are elsewhere. She can't stop thinking it. Kwon Hyeon-jin has changed. Na-hwi sits at her desk, phone to her ear, but her mind is elsewhere. She remembers how Kwon Hyeon-jin used to be, possessive and demanding, insisting he be her top priority. But now, he doesn't get upset when she puts other things first, and he stopped talking about marriage entirely. Her friend's voice suddenly cuts through her thoughts, calling out her full name. Startled, Na-hwi blurts out, "I'm thinking about doing an internship next year." Her friend is shocked, reminding Na-hwi she wasn't interested before, and eagerly suggests they do it together. Still on the phone with her friend, Na-hwi expresses doubt about getting into the internship program. Her friend insists she's a top applicant, but Na-hwi explains the company's hiring bias, sighing that it's just the reality of the situation. Unconvinced, her friend presses, asking if she would take the job if she passed. Just then, the doorbell chimes, startling Na-hwi. She quickly ends the call, saying her other friend has arrived. A moment later, a cheerful woman with long hair steps inside, waving her bag in the air as she announces her arrival. Na-hwi welcomes her friend, who immediately pulls her into a tight hug. "Whoa, how'd you get even more stunning?" the friend exclaims, calling her the icon of the business school. A little embarrassed, Na-hwi tells her to stop. As they settle down with food, they chat about a classmate getting his teaching certification. Suddenly, her friend's tone changes. "Na-hwi, have you seen this?" she asks, holding up her phone. Na-hwi looks up from her bowl, curious. On the screen is a photo of a beautiful woman. "She's gorgeous, isn't she?" her friend says. Na-hwi flinches as the news hits her, a cold shock running through her veins. Her friend explains the rumor. Kwon Hyeon-jin is supposedly getting engaged to the stunning Han Seo-yeon. As her friend gushes about the woman's perfect height, a quiet weight settles over Na-hwi. "I guess so," she whispers, her gaze distant. She thinks about how she and Kwon Hyeon-jin never quite fit, how she'd have to stand on her toes to reach him. But with this other woman, everything would be perfectly aligned. The image of Han Seo-yeon's confident smile lingers. Na-hwi's mind drifts. This woman is just like Kwon Hyeon-jin. Her family, her looks, everything is flawless. An image flashes in her mind of the two of them together, a perfect couple. The distance between their world and hers feels so vast that she can't even feel a sense of loss. Her friend's voice cuts through her thoughts, asking if she has finished eating. Na-hwi sits with her back to her friend, her shoulders slumped. "Yeah," she answers quietly, the meal forgotten. She comes to a quiet, heavy conclusion. They truly are a perfect match. Na-hwi offers a polite hello as she enters the mansion's service area. The staff immediately greet her with warm praise, calling her kind, pretty, and smart. Another woman adds that her mother must be so proud. The light chatter soon shifts to more serious matters, as they discuss preparations for a sudden memorial rite. Someone explains it is for the eldest young master. As a teacup is handed to her, Na-hwi's expression shifts. With quiet realization, she understands they are speaking of the president and his wife, Kwon Hyeon-jin's parents. As steam rises from a freshly poured cup, the staff's quiet conversation continues. One woman wonders why Chairman Kwon does not personally hold the memorial for his eldest son, instead entrusting the rite to a temple. Na-hwi listens, a sudden realization dawning on her. This must be why he could not come for her birthday. Her eyes drift to a beautiful basket of flowers sitting on the counter. "What are these for?" she asks softly. A smiling staff member explains that the eldest young master, Kwon Hyeon-jin, dropped them off yesterday. Na-hwi's gaze lowers, her heart fluttering. The name leaves her lips in a soft whisper. Kwon Hyeon-jin. A staff member marvels at the extravagant gift, explaining there was also a gift certificate inside with a shocking amount. She wonders aloud why Hyeon-jin would give her something like this. While the staff continues to gush about how handsome and polite the eldest young master has become, Na-hwi's expression grows heavy. The grand gesture feels less like a birthday present and more like silent pressure for her mother to quit. With this unsettling thought, she leaves the mansion, only to be stopped by a sudden, unexpected voice. A smiling woman exits a sleek car, correctly guessing Na-hwi is there for the side dishes. Suddenly, an older man, the chairman, emerges, demanding to know what is going on. The woman explains that Na-hwi is running the errand because Kwon Hyeon-jin said he would be more comfortable with her. Na-hwi's stomach clenches. It is a blatant lie. Her mother sent her, not him. The chairman's gaze softens. He remarks that since Hyeon-jin has known her for so long, he must have grown quite fond of her. His words hit Na-hwi with unexpected force, and she freezes in shock. The woman clears her throat and casually tells Na-hwi to carry on as the car pulls away. Left alone on the street, Na-hwi's mind races. How could she have been so confident that no one knew? She remembers her younger days, always keeping a careful distance so that even their driver would not suspect the nature of her relationship with Hyeon-jin. But she realizes it would not matter. For a man like Chairman Kwon, finding out about his grandson would be simple. As rain begins to pour, she stands still, feeling drenched. With Kwon Hyeon-jin, she loses her sense of reality. A few weeks later, Kwon Hyeon-jin rings the doorbell to Na-hwi's apartment. When she opens the door, he greets her with a calm acknowledgement that it has been a while. Inside, he asks why she suddenly booked a hotel. Na-hwi vaguely mentions a friend's recommendation and a heated pool. The explanation is only a half-truth. Ever since that day, she has been afraid to see him, but the thought of their connection ending is even more frightening. He suddenly wraps his arms around her from behind, pulling her close. He whispers that she should have just told him if she wanted to swim. Leaning into his warmth, Na-hwi promises she will next time. Na-hwi's hand gently cups Kwon Hyeon-jin's cheek as he leans into her touch. She sinks into his embrace, her arms wrapping securely around his neck, and quietly admits she just wanted to be alone with him. He pulls her even closer, sighing her name before asking about her recent exams. Na-hwi voices her concern that she might not be top of her department this time. He soothes her worries, telling her it is okay as long as she remains herself. Gently, he guides her back onto the bed, their bond deepening in the quiet room. The soft atmosphere shifts as Kwon Hyeon-jin mentions he has something to discuss. Sensing the change, Na-hwi looks up from the bed and asks what is wrong. He questions her guarded expression, prompting her to quickly deny telling her mother anything. Confused, she explains she heard it was her mother's birthday and bought flowers on impulse, wondering why he would celebrate a housekeeper's birthday. Visibly pained, he asks if her mother is just like the others to him. Realization dawns on Na-hwi's face as he steps closer, his gaze intense. "Is that why you have been avoiding me?" he asks. Kneeling on the bed, Kwon Hyeon-jin looks at Na-hwi with raw vulnerability. He asks quietly if his intensity is the reason she has been avoiding him. Na-hwi sits on the edge, her gaze lost in thought, unable to meet his eyes. He reaches forward, his fingers gently gripping the hem of her dress. A flush of regret colors his features as he promises it will not happen again. "I am sorry for making you worry," he adds, the apology soft but sincere, acknowledging the crisis that has strained their bond. Na-hwi watches him, a realization dawning. Kwon Hyeon-jin has become so vulnerable to her, always the one to yield and swallow his pride. She feels caught, lacking the courage to either claim him or let him go. Deciding on the one thing she can do, she gently pushes him back. He lands softly on the bed, and she moves over him, her presence a silent answer. "Why? What are you trying to do?" he asks, his voice laced with surprise. She leans in, nestling her face into his neck, a tender and unexpected gesture. "Na-hwi," he whispers, breathless. The surprise on Kwon Hyeon-jin's face melts into deep warmth as Na-hwi deepens their closeness. He cups her face, his voice husky as he tells her to just stay still. The atmosphere grows thick with unspoken emotion. But Na-hwi's curiosity takes a surprising turn, and her attention shifts. Kwon Hyeon-jin's body goes rigid. "Wait, what are you doing?" he asks, stunned. Her innocent observation about his vulnerable state shatters his composure completely. A deep blush spreads across his face as he pleads for her to stop. Na-hwi softly questions if he truly wants her to step back. A deep blush warms Kwon Hyeon-jin's face as he flinches, admitting it is because the closeness is overwhelming. He wonders aloud what will happen if he keeps asking this of her in the future. Her answer disarms him completely. Leaning in until their lips almost touch, she reminds him that he did the same for her, and that she really liked it. Stunned, he offers to take the lead, but she gently holds him in place, refusing. "No," she whispers, "I want to guide us myself." A heavy breath escapes Kwon Hyeon-jin, his face flushed with warmth. He struggles for control, pleading with Na-hwi for just one moment. But the emotion is too much. He gasps, his body trembling as the closeness builds between them. In a rush of affection, he pulls her close, their bond deepening until she breathes his name, asking him to wait. The world blurs around them. He gently shifts their position, his voice softening as he looks down at her, asking her to tell him if anything feels uncomfortable. Kwon Hyeon-jin's voice is low and intense, promising to continue until she is completely breathless from their shared bond. But in the aftermath, Na-hwi recalls her fear. She fled the hotel while he was distracted, terrified of anyone seeing them leave together. It was too risky, forcing them to cancel all their planned trips. Now, as she stands outside a new hotel room, her phone rings. It is Kwon Hyeon-jin. She answers cautiously, only to be met by an unfamiliar voice shouting through the speaker, angrily accusing her of being a lobbyist. The stranger's accusation stings through the phone, asking if she is meeting a broker at a hotel. The sharp words dissolve into a recent memory of Kwon Hyeon-jin waiting for her. He had offered to study in his car, but she warned him it was causing a stir. She remembers her own unease, questioning why he always chose a hotel. His response was a low challenge, asking why she pretended not to like it. The memory vanishes as his real voice finally cuts through the line, calm and simple. "Hey." Na-hwi lets out a heavy sigh, her shoulders slumping as she agrees to meet him. "Fine, I will be there." The moment the words leave her lips, a wave of guilt she tried to ignore comes rushing back. His earnest voice echoes in her memory, listing the simple things he wants: to eat good food, see beautiful sights, and walk outside holding her hand. That is all. The thought stings. She cannot even give him the simplest kind of date, terrified that one glance from a stranger could lead back to the imposing Chairman Kwon. Na-hwi freezes in place as a truth she desperately ignored finally catches up to her. A memory surfaces, a message about Kwon Hyeon-jin's engagement to the granddaughter of Hansung Electronics. Her heart aches as she realizes they will only drift further apart, forced to suffer through the pain of that reality. She pictures their hands intertwined, a symbol of the time they shared. A single tear traces a path down her cheek as she accepts that their romance was always destined to break, a problem that goes far beyond just one man's disapproval. The thought settles with painful finality. Their end was set from the start. As tears stream down Na-hwi's cheeks, a concerned voice cuts through her sorrow. A kind woman approaches, asking if she is all right and offering her a tissue. Na-hwi's gaze drifts to the woman's book, recognizing the name on its spine, Han Seo-yeon. She recalls how kind and sweet the other girl is, a person who seems to have everything. The feeling is not jealousy, but a quiet, crushing acceptance of her place, a reality so complete it leaves no room for anything else. A warm memory surfaces of her birthday, just before her first ever trip with her mother. Na-hwi recalls Kwon Hyeon-jin's playful texts, asking her to send a pretty photo. Her heart fluttered with excitement as her mother called her to come down to the front of the house. Lost in her joy, she fails to notice the unusual strain in her mother's voice. An unfamiliar man in a suit suddenly calls out her name. Na-hwi freezes as he directs her to a car, where she sees her mother's face, pale and filled with dread. Na-hwi remembers being 21, too young and naive to realize you cannot hide the sun with your palm. As the black car glides down the road, a chilling thought grips her. Has her relationship with Kwon Hyeon-jin been discovered? Her mind races to identify the man driving. He is not Secretary Cho Sung-pil, the only aide Chairman Kwon would trust for such a private matter. The car stops. A quiet command comes from the front, telling both her and her mother to please come inside together, their faces pale with uncertainty. They arrive at an unfamiliar, grand villa. The man confirms their location, Chairman Kwon Hyeong-do's personal residence. Na-hwi's breath catches. He then introduces himself as Yoon Jong-go, and the name sends a chill down her spine. Realization dawns. This is the man who brought her directly to the chairman. Inside, Na-hwi and her mother stand rigidly in a cold, dim hallway. Her gaze falls to the floor, her heart sinking. Scattered like fallen leaves are photographs of her and Kwon Hyeon-jin, their private moments laid bare for all to see. A cold fury radiates from Chairman Kwon as he sits in the dim light. He accuses Na-hwi's mother directly, his voice a low growl as he asks if she entered his home just to use her daughter. Na-hwi flinches, a bead of sweat tracing her temple as the accusation hangs in the air. Later, she sits in the passenger seat of a car, head bowed. Yoon Jong-go hands her a cold pack, telling her to hold it to her cheek. He remarks on the chairman's temper, shocked that he would raise a hand against her. Yoon Jong-go observes that the mark on Na-hwi's cheek should fade, but offers to take her to a hospital. She remains silent, her mind replaying a nightmare of harsh words and humiliation. She remembers her mother being driven to her knees in despair, while the chairman's harsh insults echo in her mind. Her voice is a fragile whisper as she finally asks, "What about my mother?" Yoon Jong-go coldly informs her she is being relocated immediately. Her departure will be recorded as a resignation due to illness, and she is to act as if nothing ever happened. Yoon Jong-go sets a phone down on the center console between them. He speaks calmly, saying he wants to offer her some realistic advice, as he has a daughter her age. His words are a chilling reminder of her powerlessness. He asks if her mother has a place to stay, noting that her current lease is ending soon. He paints the chairman's actions as generous despite his methods and warns her to consider the cost of a breakup, reminding her that the chairman is the only family Kwon Hyeon-jin has left. The car pulls away. Na-hwi brings up a difficult topic, recalling that she heard Yoon Jong-go once served as his father's chief secretary. Kwon Hyeon-jin confirms it, his gaze intense as he asks why she is curious. He suggests she should try contacting manager Yoon herself, maybe starting with a simple text. His words trigger a chilling memory for Na-hwi, being in a car as that very man told her the lease on her house was ending. A dreadful suspicion forms in her mind, wondering if the chairman had Hyeon-jin followed the moment he returned. Kwon Hyeon-jin calls out to Na-hwi as a sleek black car glides to a stop beside her. He suggests she probably just received a text message. A heavy feeling settles over Na-hwi as she looks down at her phone. The screen displays a new message confirming a scheduled consultation at a private medical clinic. Hyeon-jin's voice explains that the chairman likes to have things settled for certain. Later, as Na-hwi sits before a spread of food, her phone buzzes again. It is a message from Yoon Jong-go stating the date has been set. She looks up, startled, as Hyeon-jin tells her to eat. Kwon Hyeon-jin keeps pushing food onto Na-hwi's side of the grill, insisting she needs to eat more. His voice is tight with concern as he notes how she loses weight during exams, a fact he finds upsetting. Flustered, she tells him to stop, reminding him she is already eating. The tongs clatter onto the grill as he puts them down, his expression serious. He starts to bring up her phone, but stops short. Just as the tension peaks, a small laugh escapes Na-hwi. "You were so bad at grilling meat at first," she says, her unexpected memory catching him completely off guard. Kwon Hyeon-jin's expression turns serious. He compliments her for being top of her class, but questions why she does not eat more while studying. His voice lowers as he asks why her phone was off during finals, an edge of concern in his tone. He admits he was worried when he could not reach her. Noting her tired expression, he suggests they go somewhere for her to clear her head. He has some business to handle in London, he explains, his hand gently covering hers on the table. A quiet warmth spreads from his touch. Kwon Hyeon-jin's invitation hangs in the air, a 2-week trip together so she can recharge. Before Na-hwi can process it, his phone buzzes, interrupting the moment. She points it out, but he dismisses it, saying he can take it later. Concerned it is an emergency, she insists he answer. The mood shifts, and Na-hwi pulls her hand away, addressing him formally. With a sigh, he takes the call, but his focus immediately returns to her. He asks what is wrong with her lips, then tells the caller he is with his girlfriend right now. Kwon Hyeon-jin's hand clenches slightly as he explains the phone call. He tells Na-hwi that manager Yoon only knows he has a girlfriend, not her identity, and even advised him to be sweet to her. He adds that the manager also has a daughter and worries about who she sees. At this, a dark shadow crosses Na-hwi's face, a feeling of disgust washing over her. The mood shifts instantly. "Let's go on that trip," she declares, her voice firm. Stunned, Kwon Hyeon-jin looks at her as she specifies Jeju Island, wanting to get far away. She asks if it is too late to leave today. He replies that it is not. A wide, eager smile spreads across Kwon Hyeon-jin's face as he leans forward, his eyes bright with excitement. "Let's go right now, Na-hwi," he declares. The scene dissolves and reappears on a balcony under a full moon, the dark ocean stretching out before them. Na-hwi leans on the railing, remarking that she cannot see a thing, though the view is usually breathtaking. Coming up behind her, Kwon Hyeon-jin wraps an arm around her waist, realizing she has been here before. She explains her grandmother loved this place. As she speaks, he gently kisses her cheek. Kwon Hyeon-jin holds Na-hwi from behind, his arms wrapping securely around her as he whispers her name into the night air. He asks if she missed him, admitting he even saw her face on his exam papers. A quiet, breathy response escapes her lips. "Me too." He pulls her closer, burying his face in her shoulder. His voice is tight with emotion as he confesses that it felt like he could not breathe when he could not reach her. His hand grips the railing as he pleads for her never to turn off her phone again. Kwon Hyeon-jin pulls Na-hwi into an embrace, his decision made. "I am not taking things further tonight," he says firmly. Confused, she looks up at him and quietly asks why. "You are tired," he replies softly, leaning in to give her a gentle kiss before stepping back. On the balcony, Na-hwi touches her lips, surprised by his restraint. A soft, knowing smile spreads across her face as she makes an inviting gesture, challenging him. Kwon Hyeon-jin freezes, his composure shattering. "You said we were not taking things further," he stammers, completely flustered. Her voice is a playful whisper. "Oh, I am just admiring you for now." "Is holding you allowed?" Kwon Hyeon-jin's voice is a low murmur as he gazes down at her. In the next moment, he sweeps Na-hwi into his arms, her arms wrapping securely around his shoulders as he carries her from the hallway. He gently places her on the bed, his body hovering above. "How long has it been, Na-hwi?" he whispers, his breath warm as he confesses he thought he would go crazy for missing her. He calls her name again, his voice thick with emotion, and asks her to meet his kiss. Na-hwi hesitates for a second before shyly obliging. Their kiss deepens, a silent conversation of long-suppressed feelings. Breaking away, Kwon Hyeon-jin's breath is warm as he asks what she thinks he felt when she suddenly vanished before her finals. Na-hwi quietly prompts him to tell her. A faint smile touches his lips as he admits his relief that she attended a women's university, confessing he could not have stayed away otherwise. His grip tightens as he admits he almost did not come to Jeju, revealing his deepest fear, that she would want time apart from him. Kwon Hyeon-jin's voice is fragile as he asks if she truly wants time apart from him. Na-hwi does not answer right away. Instead, she wraps her arms around his neck, pulling him into a deep, reassuring embrace. Her answer is a soft murmur against his shoulder. No, it is not. Overwhelming relief washes over him, the tension finally leaving his body as he collapses limply onto the bed. Sometime later, Na-hwi is standing at a vanity table, calling out his name with a hint of exasperated fondness in her voice. Kwon Hyeon-jin steps out, a towel draped over his hair and a robe loosely tied. He glances at his phone, a carefree smile on his face as he asks Na-hwi what she wants to eat in Jeju tomorrow, suggesting a cute dessert cafe. But Na-hwi stands rigid. A message from the doctor appears on her screen, requesting she come for an exam. Her mind flashes back to his stern, judgmental words, a warning not to ruin her life and to consider her mother. The chilling memory envelopes her, a stark contrast to Hyeon-jin's blissful mood. Kwon Hyeon-jin's voice is low with suspicion as he asks if the doctor knows she is with him in Jeju, confirming the man just sent him a list of date ideas. The bitter hypocrisy floods Na-hwi's mind. The doctor helps Hyeon-jin plan a romantic trip while privately telling her to schedule a serious medical appointment. She realizes he knows she cannot say a word. Noticing the darkness return to her eyes, Hyeon-jin leans in, concerned. What is with that look? Before she can answer, he closes the distance, capturing her lips in a soft, searching kiss. A reckless resolve fills Na-hwi's eyes as she settles over Kwon Hyeon-jin on the bed. Let's take the final step, she says, her voice steady and determined. Lying back, he stares up at her, completely blindsided by her sudden change in demeanor. What? He breathes, confused. She leans in, repeating her intention with a shocking condition, that they proceed without holding anything back. The words jolt him. He sits up abruptly, his robe falling open as he stares at her in utter disbelief. His mind reels, questioning if he could have possibly heard her right. Na-hwi sits atop Kwon Hyeon-jin, the room cast in a soft, atmospheric glow. He meets her uncertain gaze with unwavering intensity, his voice low as he suggests they simply move forward. She tries to pause, flustered, quietly explaining that the timing is right. Hyeon-jin's expression shifts as he admits his own wonder, having heard their bond is different without any distance between them. His tone then becomes serious as he dismisses her logic, stating there is no such thing. Na-hwi stares, grabbing him in utter disbelief, questioning if he is truly serious about the risk. A quiet resolve settles over Na-hwi. As Kwon Hyeon-jin sits up, she wraps her arms around his shoulders, her voice soft. She does not want him to feel anxious. Her next words hang in the air, stunning him into silence. If a new life comes from their bond, she will have it. His eyes widen in disbelief. Leaning her head against him, Na-hwi confesses that a baby who looks like him would be beautiful. Overwhelmed and blushing, Hyeon-jin stammers, asking if she can possibly be serious about this profound step. Kwon Hyeon-jin's mind races as their lips meet, his heart pounding in his chest. He pulls her closer, overwhelmed by her devotion, wondering why she would ever suggest facing such a profound future alone. Tucked against his shoulder, Na-hwi lets out a soft, happy laugh at his flustered concern. He whispers her name, still processing the weight of her words. He feels she is spoiling him. Looking up with a warm blush and deep affection, Na-hwi quietly urges him to hurry, sealing their emotional and physical commitment in the moonlit room. The air crackles with intensity. Kwon Hyeon-jin leans over Na-hwi, his voice a low whisper urging her to relax. Overwhelmed by the connection, he murmurs that her response is pushing his composure to the brink and he cannot hold back. Her breath hitches, a soft plea to wait lost in the moment. A faint, possessive smile plays on his lips as he notes her sensitivity, teasingly wondering how he is supposed to hold back. He pulls her closer, whispering that she would be in big trouble without him, his intense gaze locking onto hers. Na-hwi's cheeks flush, her mind swimming with the strange, new intimacy of their connection. Unwilling for the moment to end, Kwon Hyeon-jin pulls her closer, his voice thick with emotion, questioning if she is truly ready to start a family with him. Her soft reassurance only fuels his intensity. He urges her to hurry, to build a future with him now. His passionate words suddenly shift, raw emotion breaking through as he forbids her from shouldering that future alone. He pleads with her to take responsibility for him, too, to take him with her. Golden morning light fills the room as Na-hwi's eyes snap open. A soft gasp escapes her lips as she realizes Kwon Hyeon-jin's arms are wrapped securely around her, the memory of falling asleep beside him making her cheeks burn. She gently whispers his name, trying to wake him, but he only murmurs and pulls her closer in his sleep. Placing a hand on his chest, she pleads for him to look at her. Lost in his dreams, he simply whispers her name, his grip tightening. A quiet resolve settles in her heart. No matter what, he will choose her. In Kwon Hyeon-jin's troubled sleep, dark memories swirl. He sees his family's fierce disapproval, a painful memory involving the chairman, and the faces of those determined to keep them apart. A single thought echoes in the darkness. If Na-hwi chooses him, her path will be incredibly difficult. As sunlight streams into the room, his voice gently pulls her from her own slumber. "Na-hwi, what time is it?" he asks softly. Still groggy, she guesses it is around 5. He leans closer, teasing that she must be hungry, her eyes still heavy with sleep. A contented sigh escapes Kwon Hyeon-jin as he tightens his embrace around Na-hwi. He remembers drifting off while watching her sleep, and the reality of waking up with her still in his arms feels like a dream. This, he thinks, is true bliss. Na-hwi's hand rests against his bare chest, the warmth spreading through her. Suddenly, a deep blush blooms across her face as a new awareness dawns on her. Her words catch in her throat. "That," she stammers, her gaze dropping. "Your reaction just now?" Her voice trails off into a flustered whisper. "If you're hearing this, you belong to the elite 1% who actually finished the story. Look, bringing these characters to life isn't just a recap, it's a marathon. Hours of editing, scripting, and late nights go into every second of this video, just to make sure you get the best experience possible. If I earned your time today, drop a like and smash that subscribe button. It's free for you, but it means the world to me. Welcome to the Manhwa Dragon family. Now, get ready, because the next chapter is going to be even wilder."